Good afternoon and welcome to a Stockton Unified School District Regular Board Meeting. Location in SUSD Arthur Coleman Administration Complex, 56 South Lincoln Street, Stockton, California, 95203. Item 1.1, call meeting to order. Christina will read the sentence under public contents. Back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Madam President. In order to help assure compliance with the Brown Act and in order to make our board meetings more effective and more efficient, trustees will speak only when recognized, and trustees who speak on a topic other than the agenda item currently under consideration will be out of order. Board meeting protocols. Maximum number of chairs allowed per fire code will be set up to ensure that all community members are seated during the board meeting. If anyone stands up during the meeting, they will be told to sit down or to leave. The podium will be moved forward so that it is in front of the first row of chairs. No one other than the person who is speaking may be at the podium. People may not line up behind the speaker to wait their turn. Must remain seated. Tape will be placed on the floor in front of the podium to indicate where the public is to stand behind. Before, during, and after board meetings, community members are not allowed to enter the area past the podium towards where the board members are sitting. Board members and the superintendent will enter from the side door into the board meeting. They will leave for closed session and will leave at the end of the board meeting through the side door. At the end of the board meetings, board members and the superintendent will have SUSD Public Safety Department officers escort them to their cars. During the board meeting, if there is a disruption, the board president or designee will give a verbal warning to the person or persons causing the disruption. If the disruption continues after the verbal warning, the individuals must be asked to leave or be removed for the remainder of the board meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Christina. Now we go to item 1.2, roll call taken by Christina. Back to you.
President Cecilia Mendez,
Present.
Vice President Raymond Zulueta,
Present.
Clerk Alicia Rico,
Present.
Trustee Maria Mendez,
Present.
Trustee Zachary Avalar,
Present.
Trustee Scott McBrien,
Present.
Trustee Angel Ann Flores,
Trustee Flores present.
Student Representative Ms. Vanessa Morales.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Now we go item 1.3, oral suggestions. Abby will read and the announcement on number of public comments. Back to you, Abby.
Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Trustees, we currently have one comment card for item 1.3. The card is from Ms. Janae Brown regarding item 2.1. Ms. Brown, if you can please come up to the podium and mic. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Janae Brown. I'm a paraprofessional worker for Stockton Unified. I just wanted to speak with you all prior to making your decision about my future in the school district. Prior to getting into what has happened over the last few months, I wanted to tell you all about myself. I have been volunteering my time with the district since 2008 and have done only because I love working with these children. As a volunteer, I have worked with a variety of teachers, staff, and administrators, and only had great experiences at many different sites in the district. This time helped me realize that I'm not only wanting to volunteer my time, but to become a special education teacher within the school district to serve these students. I was lucky enough to be approached by Tom Whiteside at Walton and encouraged to apply to be a developmental assistant at the site. Once I did, I was accepted and I was overjoyed and joined the district. And be able to work with some of the most precious students and special staff. What I experienced was far from what I've heard and experienced in the past. I felt like I had never received an opportunity to speak up for myself, and the evaluations come to those who did not watch me work nor understand the issues that were brought to them. If you have an opportunity, I implore you to look at my evaluations and ask questions about the council dates, incorrect evaluation periods, and the incorrect stories they told. In fact, I'll be happy to speak with any and all of you about the sheer number of issues I have received while doing work there. I never wanted any of these issues and only come to work to be a part of a team and assist the children. I felt that the working environment was unhealthy, to say the least, but I stayed for the children and work and the opportunity to transfer to another site when I was permanent. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it to that period, and that's why I'm standing in front of you guys today. All I ask is that you give me an opportunity to stay with the district and find my new home to work with these students. I have heard there are staffing issues and implore you not to add to those. I've also been made aware that if I'm probation release, I may not be able to work in special education once again. And I don't want the students, the district, or myself.
Time, Ms. Brown. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Have anybody else?
And this concludes comment cards for item 3.1.3. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we got right now, item 1.4, Student Board Representative report by Ms. Vanessa Morales from Franklin High School.
Hello, everyone. So at Franklin High School, they've had their second coffee hour this week, as well as a parent training this Thursday evening to share Delta College information. This week, it's homecoming week, and Spirit Week is off to a great start, with today being barbecue dads versus soccer moms. The nighttime rally is tomorrow and will be glow-in-the-dark themed. Homecoming photo ops are being created by each class and will be judged by students at the Hogo game on Friday. Some good news, we have 6 ELD kids that are eligible for reclassification, as well as tomorrow there will be a ribbon cutting for the Yellow Jackets Sports Complex at 10 a.m. Counselors did social and emotional training for all the 9th graders, as well as a suicide prevention training. This suicide prevention training is available for all students at Franklin, and we've already gotten many students certified. At Stagg High School, their FFA recently had their own back to school and annual kiddie pool kickball game with over 130 FFA members in attendance. Stagg FFA is practicing for the upcoming floriculture opening and closing contest on 9/21 in Calaveras County. Stagg FFA will be taking students to the upcoming field trips at the local construction trades fair, the chapter officer leadership conference, as well as the Green Hand Leadership Conference. The Green Hand Leadership Conference provides their freshmen, allows their freshmen to develop leadership skills. Floriculture classes will fundraise with a floriculture subscriptions for this fall. 4 floral arrangements made by advanced students in the floriculture pathway will be received. Stagg Counseling Department held academic, social, and emotional learning sessions within the 9th grade classes this month. Stagg teachers hosted a very successful academic conference day on September 9th. Parents were in high attendance and very appreciative of having the opportunity to meet with the students' teachers regarding academics. On September 20th and 21st, Stagg will have an on-site professional development for newer teachers regarding lesson design and lesson delivery. On September 2nd, ASB presented Club Rush in the Glade. This was very successful, and as it allowed student clubs to raise money for all their organizations. The STAG Plus program is in coordination with Child Welfare and Attendance, and they are providing restorative circles and conflict mediation, as well as clothing and water distributions. STAG Alumni Association is providing grants to students and student organizations to improve school culture and student life. ASB classes constantly provide lunchtime activities, LTAs, to promote class competitions. This week competition will be a Rochambeau contest. STAG Football Hall of Fame inductee ceremony happened on September 9th, as well as STAG's head football coach has become the most winningest coach in school history on August 26th with a win versus Sierra High School. At Edison High School, the KCRA High School Playbook was this past Friday. You may have caught the band of the week segment. It was your Edison High School Viking Marching Band. Congrats to Edison High School musical teacher, Chris McCoy. Edison's Upward Bound worked with seniors last week, engaging seniors in a workshop regarding college requirements, adding to the EHS college-going student body, as well as the student support forums are scheduled for the 20th and 21st, providing resources to assist students of items in need and develop skills useful in daily life. Stanislaus Street and UC Merced, Stanislaus and UC Merced are scheduled to visit with Edison High School students and provide information on programs and tracks of interest to students. At Chavez High School, Chavez's counseling department played a movie with popcorn for their students during lunch September 9th. Their ASB is supporting a large menu of clubs, as well as every student can find a club that speaks to them. Their students are participating in events and are participating in class. Chavez attendance team has gone to many home visits to reach out to their students. Their ASB and Plus programs are promoting positivity while supporting all walks of life on campus. Plus will be holding their monthly fair with a focus on diversity. This month, they will have visits from the University of Silicon Valley and UTI. Chavez will be holding its homecoming kickback this weekend, as well as their students are voting for homecoming king and queen today. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to item 1.5, and I would like to introduce Cynthia Cardenas Sanchez, principal. Then she's going to introduce our student honoree. Welcome to Stock Unified District.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Abby as a definition of a true leader. She is in Plus program and a Plus student mentor. Additionally, she supports our school site council. She is also a cheerleader and plays softball for Chavez. Abby has TA'd in the health office at Chavez for the last 2 years, which requires a level of confidentiality and personalization. Abby is compassionate, yet she can be a spitfire when she needs to be. She is well organized and attentive. Abby has found a good balance at such a young age to be able to be a full-time student, a student leader, work at Dutch Bros, and play sports. May I introduce to you Abby Well.
Hello, thank you for choosing me to be your student honoree this year. Some great things that we do on our campus are we have multiple different clubs for students to join to spark their interests. Our student participation has been higher than ever recently. Our staff cares about the well-being of our students and will always take in their concerns into consideration. We have a very good Plus program that supports all students on campus with everything they need. We are supported by our community. Plus has a monthly Plus fair that has different themes each month. We have posters that we decorate our walls with every month to help motivate students. We have an annual virtual health fair for students to voice concerns and talk about things they would like to see on our campus. The diversity is higher than ever with students, including, so we don't really have cliques anymore this year. They've been really low. And that is from a quote from our coach, Chicago. Another quote that we have is caught being good promotes positivity. So if a student is caught being good by a staff member, they get a sticker and they turn that sticker into our student store and they get entered into a raffle to win gift cards. And that is a quote from our AP, Mr. Cobb. And our mutual respect with students and staff is very high. We have learned how to build relationships with not just students, but staff members. And leadership works to promote fun and engaging activities for students and staff, and that is from our Mr. D'Angelo. So, thank you.
Thank you. I would like very much to introduce your board member. It's coming, Mr. Scama Brian. He is the board member. He's gonna give you a certificate. And if you have your parents, your teachers, or anybody in the audience would like to take a picture, this is the moment. Thank you. If the mom and dad is here, please come to the podium. Thank you. You guys can take a step back so we get all of you in. Thank you so much. Now we go to item 1.6, public employee discipline dismissal. Did we have anything in today, sir?
No, there's nothing for that item, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. Item 1.7, the board will concern closed session. Item with closed session will be by Vice President Raymond Sulera. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. The items that we are going to consider in closed session are 2.1, public employee appointment, certificated resignation, retirement, deceased, appointment ratification. 2.2, public employee appointment, classified resignation, retirement, rescind employment offer appointment. 2.3, conference with labor negotiator. 2.4, public employee discipline dismissal release. 2.5, conference with legal counsel existing litigation. Thank you. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Zuleta. Now we're gonna go and reconvene in closed session. Christina will read the oral announcements. Back to you, Christina. Thank you.
The board will now recess to close session. Thank you.
Thank you. We are reconvened to public session. Item 4.1, Pledge of Allegiance is gonna be led by Sharon Womble, Director of Constituents Service Department. Back to the podium, please. Thank you and welcome to SUSD.
Can you please stand and join me in the flag salute? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Mrs. Sharon Womble, Director of Constituent Service for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now we're gonna go in item 4.2, action taken in closed session, and it's gonna be led by our Vice President Raymond Suleta. Sir.
Thank you, Madam President. And once again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. The items that we considered, or excuse me, the actions that were taken in closed session, item 2.1, there's a motion to approve public employee appointment certificated. The motion carried 6-1. The one vote, no vote was trustee Flores. Item 2.2, there was a motion to approve public employee appointment classified as revised. The motion carried 6-1. The no vote was trustee Flores. On item 2.4, there are multiple actions. The first was a motion to release a probationary classified employee. That motion carried 6-0-1. The one abstention was trustee Flores. Next up, we had a motion to terminate the employment of a classified employee. That motion carries 5-0-2. The two abstentions, trustees Flores and Maria Mendez. Next, The motion was to terminate the employment of another classified employee. Motion carries 5-0 to 2. The two abstentions are trustees Flores and Maria Mendez. Next is a motion to release another classified probationary employee. The motion carried 4-0 to 3. The three abstentions were trustees Flores, Maria Mendez, and Rico. Item 2.5, there is a motion to respond to the charge of discrimination of Kelly King. Motion carries 6-0 to 1 abstention. That was trustee Flores. And there was a motion to respond to the unfair practice charge of operating engineers local union number 3. That motion carried 6-0 to 1. The 1 abstention was trustee Flores. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Sureta. Now we go to item 4.3, order of agenda. Abby will read the oral announcements. Back to you, Abby.
This is the opportunity for the Board of Trustees to make any changes to the order of the agenda. Otherwise, the order of the agenda will be as published. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any changes in the agenda today?
Madam President, I'd like to pull 6.12 for it to be brought back at the next meeting.
Thank you. Any other changes? Here none, we're going to continue.
President Mendez.
Yes, sir?
So I would construe trustee Zuletta's request as a motion, and that would need a motion and a second.
I will
and a
second
vote.
that. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes. So we can bring it to the next board meeting. Thank you. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any who abstain or noes? Yeah, motion passed. Now we go back. Item 5.1, oral suggestions. I will read the announcements of the public comments. Thank you, Abby. Back to you.
Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. The board shall limit the total time for public input to each item to 20 minutes. Trustees, we currently have 10 public comment cards for item 5.1. First comment card is from Ms. Sylvia Cantu regarding item 9.2. Ms. Cantu, if you can please come up to the podium and mic. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm here to talk about agenda item 9.2, the meeting conduct. And I noticed that you had governance training. That was one of the recommendations from the grand jury. And you had October 26, 2021. And under your board bylaws, governance, the governing board has the power of establishing its own procedures within the parameters of law. The formulation and adoption of written board policy shall constitute the basic method by which this board shall exercise its leadership in the governance of the school district. So if I look at the meeting conduct, it's on here. The only thing that was added was the non-English speaking. So I'm trying to figure out these board meeting protocols. This should be under the meeting conduct code. If anyone is standing up during the meeting, they should be told to sit down or leave. How do we do flag salute, pledge of allegiance? How, if someone has a back problem? It's not even under the public participation. The next one, no one other than a person who's speaking may be at the podium. What happens when someone needs a translator? Is the translator going to be in the hallway? They can't stand up in the meeting. Like I said, it's not even in here. Can't enforce it. It has to be in the meeting conduct code. And another thing, right here during the board meeting, if there's a disruption, that's number 7 in the meeting conduct code. It's already in here. The board president shall not permit any disruption, willful interruption, board meetings, whatever, it's in here. So I don't know where this is coming from, but to me, it would not be enforced because under your governance, it made sure that you have it under here and it's even on the board agenda. So I don't know where these protocols, they keep adding and adding and adding. Pretty soon, it's like you're gonna have to be like, you can't even take a break to go to the bathroom or something. And then another thing I want to add too, that most of you have confusion, I got about a minute. Without taking action, board members or district staff may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by the public about items not appearing on the agenda. Additionally, on their own initiative or in response to question posed by the public, a board or staff member may ask a question for clarification or make a brief announcement or make a brief report on his or her own activities. So even in your own board bylaws, you are allowed. I don't know why you say no. I've been here for so many years and you're allowed. So once again, like I said, I don't understand where these protocols. So if I'm standing or someone else, you can't really enforce it because you would be violating your own, like I said, meeting conduct that's on 9.2. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next common card is from Mr. Jerry Gonzalez regarding items 1.1 and 3.1.
Good evening. Item 3.1 has to do with the 1.1 and 3.1 were the same thing, basically the board meeting protocols. So I feel it's kind of I don't know, an insult to the public. So if you bear with me here, I felt this might be appropriate. So you can shake your head, you can laugh at me, but people are really upset, and I am one of them. This is really an insult. So I'll get back to the serious business here. I know that there's a lot of anger and concern and friction. The board meetings that were held at the other location, I remember there being maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 police officers. I think at last count, we have maybe 6 or 7 here. I just don't get it. It seems like overkill. I understand public safety is very important, but it just doesn't seem right. With regard to the number of seats.
Mr. Gonzalez, sorry.
Okay.
Next common card is for Mr. Jerry Gonzalez regarding item 7.3.
Okay, well, I had 1.1 and 3.1, but I guess I'll leave it at that. I haven't started yet. So with regard to 7.1, I'm just very glad that Mr. Umlin is back, and I understand that he was instrumental in having drills before his position was terminated by this board. I also recall from the presentation of the paid consultants that you had for safety that they recommended that they were glad to know that you were hiring a new safety coordinator. I also am glad to know that the incident at Merlot was de-escalated without any shots being fired or any serious injuries. I say that because I have family and friends that were there at the Cleveland Elementary School shooting. And I have a very close friend that has family in Uvalde, Texas, where there was also a mass shooting. So I just am glad. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next common card is from Harpreet Chima regarding item 14.2.
Howdy, everyone. Okay. So for 14.2, that is the budget presentation. So the presentation that's been prepared tonight tells us basically nothing. All you're doing is throwing numbers at us. But the job of the presentation is supposed to walk us through what is happening with the budget, why the numbers are differing, basically why the unaudited actuals vary so much from the estimated actuals submitted in June. And so, we had the adopted budget, we got numbers or from last year. Now we have the unaudited actuals, but there's no explanation on why the numbers differ, why they're higher, why they're lower. There's just a presentation of the numbers themselves. And, we've had this problem before where, our CBOs aren't properly explaining things to us, explaining things to the public. And, even when you look at the surface level of our adopted budget, there are numbers that don't make sense. Estimated costs for new union agreements outlined in AB 1200 forms don't match the costs outlined in the budget. Funds for Title I are overrepresented by over $10 million, either in this budget cycle or the previous budget cycle. And, our group Fix SUSD will be talking about this more in the future, but, I just want to make clear, the more you look into our budget, the more you look into our adopted budget, the harder it is to trust the numbers that are presented. And at the end of the day, we don't have the agreements that you guys have. We have to trust the numbers that you present to us. But if they don't make sense and we're finding paperwork that doesn't align, paperwork that was submitted on the same day, you have two different sheets of papers that have two different numbers for the same budget item, that's very concerning. And, and we're still waiting on the 45-day budget presentation that you all voted to receive a couple of meetings ago. We still haven't gotten it. I understand you're still onboarding and still working on it, but, the problem we have with this school board is that it's hard for CBOs that do a good job to want to come here, right? We're under investigation. The county might take us over. And so you have CBOs who might be good, who don't want to risk their careers coming and serving this school board. So as long as the majority of you are up there, we're going to have a hard time finding actually qualified CBOs who can tackle a district as large as Stockton. And I understand our current interim CBO, she comes from a small school with for the $15 million budget. That's a fraction of what Stockton Unified is. And I'm not saying you're up to the task, but this is what we're left with. We're left with people who are underqualified and who may not be up to the job of fixing a school budget that needs a lot of fixing. And Ray Zulueta, either you're just lying to the public when you make your social media posts, or you have a really shallow understanding of how school budgets work. And it's kind of embarrassing. And I hope for the sake of SUSD, I hope you're just lying to the public, because otherwise the board's in a bit of trouble. All right, next item.
Time now. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I had another one.
Yes,
You'll
that
follow
will
later?
follow. Thank you. Next comment card is from Paolo Enriquez regarding item 6.7.
So with 6.7 and 6.8, you'll be voting on whether to give contracts to two different vendors for the same ergonomic services. They're both year-long contracts, each with a max payout of $13,000. There's not much to go off of in the agenda item details, and the public isn't provided with a justification for why risk management needs multiple contractors. According to the California Code of Regulations, Title 8, Section 5110, which took effect on July 3rd, 1997, the district should have already established and implemented a program designed to minimize repetitive motion injuries, and that program should already include control of exposures which have caused RMIs and training of employees. So why is risk management looking to bring in consultants now? Are the current measures for preventing and managing RMIs insufficient? And if so, who made that determination? I think the board needs more information before voting. How many employees are currently impacted? How often are these injuries and disorders occurring in SUSD? How much are work-related musculoskeletal disorders, cumulative trauma disorders, and RMIs costing the district now? I'd like to point out that the second page of the contract utilization form for Greg Weaver is missing, and that his answer on line 5 says that he will, quote, assist in solving employees' ergonomic challenges. That is not a measurable way of assessing the quality of the services he'll be providing. Just last December, the board awarded 3 contracts to 3 different ergonomic vendors, even though Marcus Battle was unable to answer why the district needs to have a pool of ergonomic specialists under contract. I think trustees do themselves and the public a disservice when they proceed with a vote while questions like that are left unanswered. Instead of continuously utilizing contractors, you should train an individual or multiple individuals or hire someone permanently in the risk management department to perform these duties if it's going to be an ongoing need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next 6 comment cards are regarding item 10.3. First speaker is Ms. Sylvia Cantu.
Okay. I noticed on the 10.3, it's titled reaffirmation of approval of resignation agreement with John Ramirez and Associate Jr., given that respect. The district does not agree that there was a Brown Act violation. And the news says this is not an employment position. This is a severance, not a salary, but yet you'll use the words employment and salary on number 3. I look at Dr. Brown and he put on the letter, I am a person, I am responsible for specific statutory oversight review duties concerning the affairs of school district in San Joaquin County, including SUSD. This letter demands that the governing board cure and correct these violations. If you look at number 3, for a 12-month period, Ramirez will serve as superintendent emeritus, reporting directly to the board. Why would he need to report to the board if he resigned? And this is a severance pay. Providing transition. Why would he provide transition to SUSD? With duties to be assigned by the board president. Why would the board president tell someone who is the severance package? And then it says the board may terminate Ramirez's employment. What employment? And then it says he'll make the same salary. Why would he need a salary? Wouldn't this word say severance? This is probably the reason why they're saying that you're violating the Brown Act. And still, even if you did it. And if you look at your board bylaw, when you have a demand for cure and correct, you have to do this within 30 days. You are to cure and correct the challenge action and inform the demanding parties in writing. You didn't change a thing. Even the thing doesn't say it's that you said resignation, but it still has transition. So how are you curing and correcting? Number 2, determine not to cure and correct, which I think you're doing, the alleged violation and inform the demanding party in writing. If you think today, putting this on an agenda item, that this is basically saying that this is his resignation, it isn't. And here's the part where it says this agreement is intended to be final and binding the parties regardless of any claims of misrepresentation, concealment, mistake, or fact of law, or any other circumstances whatsoever. That means even if you wanted to take part 3, you can't, because this binding number 16, this agreement cannot be amended, altered, modified, or superseded except by a written agreement by the parties. So basically, this is an agenda for what? He's not resigning. You're giving him a title where the board president is going to come. I don't know what he's going to be doing. And he's getting a salary. It doesn't say severance pay. So vocabulary matters. This is embarrassing. As a teacher, we teach our kids vocabulary, your board members, and there's a difference. You cannot say, oh, this is not an employment, but he's employed. And you say, this is not a salary, but a severance, but you're using those 2 vocabulary words. And maybe, just maybe, that's probably why Dr. Brown probably said that, because hello, it seems to me you are hiring him. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Mr. David Singty.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Sengtai. I wanted to leave a comment regarding 10.3. I want to echo what Sylvia just said, but also bring up a few of my own concerns. Personally, if a teacher or a boss or a principal or any person in a higher authority told me I was doing something illegal, I would probably not do it. And if they told me a way to fix what I've done illegally, I would take all the actions and steps to do so within that given time frame. Dr. Brown is the county superintendent for the next 4 years. He is very articulate and he's very competent. I've met with him before, talked to him about the school district, and now he's written a letter to us saying, to the board specifically saying that you guys have committed an illegal action during closed session. This illegal action was creating an executive position, hence superintendent emeritus, in closed session without actual public input or the public knowing. And adding on to that lack of public input, when the public was asking y'all, hey, does John Ramirez have a position with this district after he resigned? We got nothing back until now, where we just figured out, according to this new letter that Dr. Brown just mailed to y'all and was broken by certain news media outlets, we saw that you guys committed illegal actions during the closed session. The public deserved to know at that point when we asked y'all, and many people asked comments asking, hey, what is he doing? Why is he still working in the district? Does he have a position? What is the term of his resignation? We got no answers back. It was silence. So that just goes to show the accountability and the lack of transparency we saw this past summer. This was nearly 2 months ago. This is very fresh and this just happened. Again, we see time and time again that this board fails to let us know what's going on and will take certain steps to go out their way to hide things that they know is illegal. I'm practically sure at this point that the fact is that you didn't bring it to open session is because you guys wanted to do it behind closed doors. And I'm asking that you do not reaffirm his contract. It is illegal. Like, is that too much to ask? I'm out here asking y'all to not reaffirm his contract, not because Dr. Brown said it was illegal. It's just plain illegal. And at this point, this person is on leave. Unfortunately, he had a run-in with the law a few weeks ago, and he practically offers no support to us. He is not offering any support to transition. I don't know how he can, given his, I don't need to say it out loud. You guys know what happened in the past week. But I don't see the point of reaffirming his contract, offering that pay in terms of the actual employment position. I understand that contracts are written where there is a severance pay if the contract is terminated before time, but we should not be giving this person a position if it is illegal. And I think that if you reaffirm it, you're reaffirming your commitment to doing illegal stuff behind our backs. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mr. Jerry Gonzalez.
Thank you. With regard to 10.3, I would like to request that on the board agenda that you strike the last sentence stating that it is clarified, though, that Mr. Ramirez's title of quote unquote emeritus superintendent is reflective of his resignation and not an employment position, and that the compensation under the agreement is severance, not salary for services rendered. And the reason why is because in the agreement here, it states, as superintendent emeritus, Ramirez shall receive same salary and benefits as he received as superintendent, except with a travel stipend. So those are totally contradicting one another. $285,000 plus benefits. That would cover a lot of other expenses for this district. And maybe some of it go to the classrooms and not to a pocket of somebody that is supposedly not an employee of the district. I also have exception to the recitals that were put in this agreement that were not made public, where it states that he provided important leadership and restructuring of the departments through SUSD, providing stability throughout SUSD. I say it's more like destruction. The Brown Act. In your own bylaws, you state special meetings. The board may be called at any time by the presiding officer or a majority of the board members. However, a special board meeting shall not be called regarding salary. Salary schedule or other compensation of the superintendent, assistant superintendent, or other management employee as described in Government Code 3511.1. Pretty clear. It's your own bylaws right there. Okay. You had a special board meeting on June 9th, and there's no mention of it in here. Nothing. Okay. Lastly, I hope Mr. Ramirez's elderly parents are okay, because he was out getting drunk and arrested for 3 times the legal limit. Well, I hope his parents are okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Harpreet Chima.
All right, so the school board, specifically McBrien, Cecilia Mendez, Ray Zulueta, and Avalar voted in a secret meeting to pay John Ramirez $285,000. To do what exactly? I think there are, only three real possibilities here. The first they said was to provide transition assistance. So if we do a records request, we're gonna get emails of him working from home 8 hours a week since that agreement was signed. And are we to expect that Tracy Miller here is having her hand held during this entire time? Because that's what we're paying Ramirez for apparently. And is it really that amazing because he's still gonna be on staff for when we hire a permanent superintendent? Like apparently the school district cannot function without having him here. But now you say it's severance. So while we have teachers, school staff, bus drivers that are underpaid, classrooms that are underfunded, under-resourced, you think it's appropriate to spend $250,000 giving someone a golden parachute. And obviously, and we all know this is just money to make him sign an agreement and to keep him quiet. Let's be clear, this next part I'm gonna read is in the usual general release form in the section 1542 from the Civil Code. This is extra, so I'm just gonna read this verbatim. In exchange for SUSD's promises set forth therein, Ramirez hereby releases, acquits, and forever discharges SUSD, its past and present employees, trustees, agents, officers, representatives, insurers, and attorneys from any and all grievances, claims, charges, complaints, liabilities, obligations, promises, benefits, agreements, controversies, costs, losses, debts, expenses, damages, actions, causes of action, suits, rights, and demands of any nature whatsoever, known or unknown, suspected or unsuspected, which Ramirez has now or may acquire in the future, which relate to or arise out of any act, omission, occurrence, condition, event, transaction, or thing which has done, omitted to be done, occurred, or was in effect at any time up to and including the effective date, without regard to whether the claims arise under federal, state, or local constitutions, statutes, rules, regulations, or common law. So basically, whatever he was up to, let's just waive all that. And I think this says more about what you are all worried about than it does about Ramirez. $250,000 for first robbing our district and then running out of town at the first sight of consequences and then being paid off again to keep his mouth shut. What a racket. But it's one that all of us here are determined to end soon. Thank you.
Next speaker is Paolo Enriquez.
So in the agenda item details, it states that Mr. Ramirez's title of Emeritus Superintendent is reflective of his resignation and not of an employment position. But in section 3 of the resignation and transition agreement, it says that the board may terminate Ramirez's employment as Superintendent Emeritus. So which is it? Was he employed as Superintendent Emeritus or was he not? You say today that his compensation in the agreement is severance, not salary for services rendered, but the actual resignation and transition agreement says that as Superintendent Emeritus, Ramirez shall receive the same salary and benefits that he received as superintendent. So which is it? Was he given severance as part of a resignation, or was he given a new salaried position? If it was severance, then why was there an expectation for him to fulfill duties assigned by the board president going forward? Things don't add up and you can't seem to get your story straight. I can't imagine that John Ramirez, who supposedly resigned to care for his elderly parents, would have the same time and energy to devote to the district as he did when he was superintendent. So how can you possibly justify giving him the same salary and benefits? And I'd like to hear specifically from Board President Cecilia Mendez, Vice President Zulueta, Trustee Avalar, and Trustee McBrien, since you four approved this contract in closed session in violation of the Brown Act on June 9th, 2022. It's been a little over 2 months since that legal document took effect. What has John Ramirez done? What specific duties were assigned to him? And those aren't trick questions. Every single one of you should be able to answer them because according to the resignation and transition agreement, Mr. Ramirez should have been reporting directly to the board. All of us here see it so plainly. This was a bogus title and you had no business making this deal the way you did and wasting public dollars on this do-nothing position. Make things right and do not reaffirm approval of this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Miss Alyssa Leyva.
I don't want to repeat what everybody ahead of me already said, and I would like to respectfully see Rika, if you could please look at me when I'm speaking to you. Thank you. Every week in the news, KCRA 3, ABC 10, Stocktonia, there's news about this school district hiding things from the public, breaking the law, making some deceptive and dishonest decisions. So yeah, just to repeat what people said earlier, first it was announced that the superintendent was going to be taking care of his parents. And then it said later on, it was said on social media that he was going to be serving the district in a different capacity. And then he got a DUI and now he's on leave. And so I want to know why it is that you think that the public deserves to be gaslit by you, and what it is that the people representing your district are doing to our taxpayers. There seems to be a very low standard of favoritism. And I think Dr. Lipton should be replaced so that we have ethical legal matters representing SUSD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustees, we received 4 comment cards regarding item 6.12. Now that item 6.12 has been pulled from the agenda, these comment cards will be moved to item 16.1. Trustees.
Thank you.
This concludes comment cards for item 5.1. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Now we're gonna go to 6.1. That will be approval consent items. And for that one, Abby will read the oral announcements.
Does any trustee have any item they would like removed for separate consideration as an action item? After any items are removed for separate consideration, there will be a vote on the consent items without any discussion. Thank you.
Trustee
Thank you.
Flores,
Trustee Flores, microphone is yours.
I would like to pull items 6.7 and 6.8.
You want that for action?
I want it pulled completely. We already have,
No, you have to do that in the first one. You can't do this.
okay, well
to
then
do
I
it
want
for
to pull it
action.
for action.
It's gonna pull up for action.
I do have to reflect that item 6.1 does say that approval of consent items subject to items being removed by individual trustees for separate consideration as action items.
6.7, 6.8, that will be moved to action item. Anything else?
Trustee Rico,
Trustee Rico?
I just want to pull 6.13, the consent item. 6.13. 6.13. No,
That one is gonna go to action.
right.
Okay, we're gonna vote for the rest of the agenda. Everybody who agree with the changes?
Aye.
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 Any abstains? Motion passed. Unanimous. Now we're gonna go to 6.7. And we need a first and a second before we discuss it.
I'll second.
We have a first and second discussion.
Discussion.
Maria Mendez, microphone.
Thank you. As our community members or staff actually commented regarding this agenda item compared to 6.8, And what I have noticed that this is actually just for risk management department. Is that correct?
Mrs. Nancy Lane or Joan Juarez? Joan is gonna answer your question.
Yes, it's for risk, but it's for the whole district. It's for items that come to them, any economical items or they need chairs adjusted. That's why we have two vendors, because it's supply and demand. If they're not available, we can contact either one of those to meet our needs for our staff.
According to 6.7, recipient of services, risk management department. It doesn't state that it's gonna be for the entire school district wide. I mean, am I reading this correctly?
It's for risk management, but it's when staff comes in, makes a claim against something with their chair not being correct, or if they need some adjustment with their back hurting. This is the consultant. So we have two of them on, two vendors available, just in case one's not to meet the needs. Sometimes our risk claims have to be addressed quickly. And if one's not available, we have two on site that we can call.
Follow-up question. With these vendors, are there possibility that an actual staff within the risk management department could be trained and actually certified to actually continue doing this type of services moving forward?
I believe you would have to have some kind of medical license to determine someone's back pain. It wouldn't be something that our staff, we would have to probably have somebody hired and trained, but it would, I believe they would have to have some kind of medical, be able to determine if someone has an issue with their backs or if they're being sitting wrong. I believe that's what we would have to hire. I don't think one of our trained staff, one of our members in the staff can do that right now.
Follow-up question. As I work for St. Joseph's Medical Center, we did have an actual ergonomic person that I was actually trained within the hospital. And they were not certified like a nurse or a doctor in order for them to actually do this job duties and go to the department, come to my desk and actually measure the chair, the height of the table, everything, my sitting position, because that's what ergonomics is for. I mean, can we look into that so then somebody from risk management be certifiable for that moving forward? So just in case we actually need ergonomic portions, because I know some other secretaries at the school sites, they be having carpal tunnel because nobody's being trained of their actual chair, the height of the tables, the computer, in buying the actual equipment, because each site or school district buys the actual typing section that it goes underneath your keyboard. It goes on the mouse as well with an actual pad. I mean, I see all that. That's what ergonomics is.
Yes, I could reach out to RISC to see, and if it is a position that we need to bring in to help us, or if we can actually have a staff member, I can research that for you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a question for you. These people have medical licenses, isn't it?
I'm not 100% sure. I was just thinking for you to be able to determine if someone has carpal tunnel or back problems.
Because for that, you have to have a medical, background and license, somebody who's gonna say and determine this is it. Thank you so much for bringing all this to our conversation. Any more comments?
Yes, Trustee Flores.
Trustee Flores?
We recently, as one of our lovely community members pointed out, that we've already had 3 contracts within the last 6 months for ergonomics. Where's the data showing that how many staff members are using it? And ergonomics, I was training ergonomics at another company, and all it is showing you how to sit, making sure you have the right level of where you have the mouse and the keyboard. That should be something that is included in the hiring training process, so that we don't need an ergonomics consultant to tell us later on. And if there's an issue going on with carpal tunnel or medical conditions or complaints, then that's why we have medical insurance for those who have medical insurance. And that's why if not, we go to the doctor to confirm that. And I just want to know, like, what is the input from the staff, from teachers and other positions that are in support of spending money on this again? Like, is it worth it?
I can have a report pulled up for the next board meeting for you to see what kind of survey they've done on who has used that program.
So then I would like to motion that we pull these until we get more data to confirm that this is an actual need, and budget-wise spending for what we need right now.
I'll second that.
We're gonna vote for this motion, but if it doesn't pass, we're gonna go back to the other motion already to accept it, okay? We're voting for the motion, then Angela Flores and Maria Mendez second is to put this item, then the staff bring to us today.
With all due respect, your statement right now, President Mendez, is saying that we're just going through the motions, that you're not even going to consider what
No,
was
no,
just discussed.
Please do not put words. Do not put words, then it's not true. We're gonna vote, we're going to the procedure. You choose to do this. And I believe that we need this, and that's it.
I understand that
This
you
is my
believe that, but is it in the best
motion.
interest of our district? And is it in the best interest of our students to
Mrs.
be spending on
Flores,
unnecessary
Flores.
items?
Mrs. Flores, we're going with the
The
process.
sky is blue, Trustee Mendez.
Going
The
through
sky is
process,
blue.
Follow the order in the process. Got already a first and a second, Trustee Flores. Now we're gonna vote. Everybody who agreed to this item, say aye to be pulled.
And I would just like to also recommend Dr. Miller and anybody who puts this on the agenda, if you guys are going to continue to put this on the agenda, please have the data ready available, because you know that this is the questions that we're going to ask.
Please, this is an item. If everybody agreed to put this item, say aye. No.
Aye.
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 Any abstains?
I'll abstain.
Any noes? Anybody didn't vote? The motion failed. Let's go to the original motion. Everybody to agree in this item. We have a first and a second already. Say
Point of
aye.
order, Point
Aye.
of order. I did not hear everybody's mics coming on, and that our community is also stating that they didn't actually press. Like right now, they're actually able to hear me. The recording can hear me and everything else.
We already voted.
Can we?
We
re-vote
did
again,
not get a
please?
clear vote.
Not everybody voted.
Okay, let's re-vote over again. To put this item, then it's considered by Angela Flores and Maria Mendez. Say aye. No.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is to pull items 6.7 and
Everybody,
6.8.
hold on. Can you please do it? Can you please do it?
Excuse me, it's Jack Lipton.
Yeah.
Is this just with respect to 6.7 right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Should make it to 6.8 as well, or the other one. Should include both.
Are you making a motion to include both, Scott?
Yes, because they both are the same.
Trustee Flores and Trustee Mendez, would you guys be open to modifying the motion to be including 6.8 as well?
Yes.
Trustee Flores,
we're-
are you
we're-
okay
we're
with putting
conducting business,
6.7 and 6.8 together?
We're amending the motion to pull both 6.7 and 6.8 out of the agenda and bring it back. Thank you.
All right, so we got a second, well, a third motion now. It was agreed to by the second motioners. It's a motion to pull 6.7 and 6.8. Scott McBrien offered it. Trustee Flores and Trustee Maria Mendez accepted. All in favor of pulling 6.7 and 6.8, say aye.
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 No.
Wait,
Aye.
so I got 3 yeses. All opposed, say nay. Nay.
Abstain.
So the,
The motion
wait,
failed.
the motion fails.
The motion failed.
3 to 1 abstention. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. So now we go to the regular voting now. 6.7. And we're gonna accept the motion now to approve this item. Everybody to agree, say aye.
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 Nay. Nay.
No.
No.
Abstain. Thank you. Now we go 5-2, motion passed. 6.8, approval agreement for furnished consultant service to Laguna Organomic for organic evaluation services for the risk management department access. We need a first and a second. Got a first and a second? The first?
I'll do the first.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second discussion. Any discussion, comments? They're none really for with the vote. Everybody to agree, say aye. Aye. Any noes, nays?
No.
Okay. Abstains?
No.
Okay, we got 5 yes and 2 noes. Motion passed. Of 6.13, approval of the contract with Get More Math for professional development services for SUSD and STA teacher professional development days for the 2022-2023 school year. Let's have a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second discussion. Anybody want us to discuss this item?
Discussion.
Maria Mendez, microphone.
Thank you. As I'm noticing the cover sheet, I call it the cover sheet. Data service, November 1st, 2022 through June 1st, 2020. Are we going backwards on the dates?
Who's gonna answer, Mrs. Maria Mendez?
Yolanda. Yeah, that was my point too.
And the agreement is correct. Please take a look in there, please.
Yeah, on the cover sheet, it's clearly a typo. It should say 2023. There are actually 2 dates of service in that time.
Follow-up question. Was this vetted through STA according to, because they already have their PDs and they already had the agreement for the school year? If not, we're gonna get in trouble.
So we've been working with STA. We've met with them a number of times to ensure that they've got their voice in the kind of PDs that they are looking to see on our PD days. And I responded to Felice Bryson Perez last week in regard to the Get More Math. Get More Math was a program that was approved by this board in June of this year. And this is simply the professional development that goes along with it so that our teachers can make the most use of the program. And STA is aware of that.
Is there any teachers here? I would like to know if you guys actually will reach out and you guys heard about this and you guys were in agreement. Raise your hands if the answer is yes. Thank you.
Any more questions? Any more questions?
I'd like to know if the teachers and the district negotiated this together. It sounds like they did under our guidelines. Ms. Miller.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes, Yolanda took the lead on that, and did a great job of collaborating with the union on this issue.
Thank you. Any more questions? Here none. Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody to agree, say aye.
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 Any noes? Unanimous. Motion passed. Now we have 7.1 recognition presentations, recognition for the Port Stockton and Washington School. And it's gonna be Maria Mendez coming to the podium. Do you wanna talk to somebody right now?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This recognition for the Port of Stockton is actually, we brought it forward from the school as it is with a great pleasure to recognize the hard work and dedication of the Port of Stockton for its support of Washington Elementary School. For the current school year, the Port of Stockton donated 2 sets of soccer goals to the student body. The young men and women at Washington are enjoying the soccer goals during recess and lunch recess. These soccer goals are greatly appreciated. Currently, the Port of Stockton is holding a school uniform drive to support our students who may need new school clothes. The port management team has invited all port, let me see, port of employees and tenants to participate and support this effort. Due to the tough economic times, many families are making difficult decisions at what is affordable for their family. With a donation of school uniforms, the Port of Stockton will be providing new school clothes to many deserving students. Prior to the pandemic, Mr. Jeff Winfield, Deputy Port Director, spoke to Washington students about the Port's OWL program. And then decided our pallets in the classrooms. By having students dissect owls pallets, students learn what the owls ate and a little more about their lifestyles. It is our goal to continue the owl dissection project with our 5th grade students following their outdoor education experience. They also have brought some actual backpacks with school supplies. They have been there advocating for the health safety of the trucking routes as well, because our students are actually also smelling the actual pollution coming through Fresno Avenue, and our students actually do the PE and the recess right outside through the Fresno Avenue. And with that, I would like to present a certificate on behalf of the board to the Port of Stockton with gratitude and appreciation on behalf of Stockton Unified School District students, parents, staff, and community for generous contributions and unwavering dedication to the students at Washington Elementary School. Thank you.
So if we have the principal, somebody in here to come into the podium with Ms. Maria Mendez to take a lovely picture, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Now we have item 7.2, recognition presentation. Recognition for HVAC employees, and I'm gonna have our intern superintendent, giving a few words. Thank you.
So good evening. As we know, all of us survived last week. Wasn't that fun, that heat wave, right? This is like unprecedented. And we really just wanted to take a moment, really all of us band together, but wanted to really take a moment and acknowledge the HVAC folk that were up on roofs, up, working around the clock to provide AC for our little ones and our staff. Again, just thank you. And there's many others. I'll talk about it in a minute, but specifically wanted to take this opportunity to just give a shout out to our HVAC folks and a huge thank you and a huge appreciation for helping us get through last week. So with that, I'll pass it off to Board Member Rico, who will read the names.
Thank you, Mrs. Rico. You can read the names, so that way you can go later on and give them the certificate. Thank you so much for your help.
Good afternoon. So I'm gonna try my best, okay? Me and Trustee Zulera, we're gonna share this. Mark Spinelli,
Joseph Anthony Amador.
Kids can start coming to the front of the podium. We're appreciated to take a glorious picture.
Cody Wall,
Robert Breedlove IV.
Eric Gutierrez,
This may be a typo, but I don't think so. Robert Valentine Breedlove.
that's a lovely name. Hip E,
James Carlson.
and Kendall Gilbert.
Ian Wade Hardcastle. And Brian Allen Jorgensen.
So is anybody in the front here, and here with us waiting?
All
Oh, there
right.
it goes. You're gonna take all the certificates in there. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Over here in the podium. We appreciate it. Right here in the podium so you can take a picture.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
make sure the rest of the folks get their certificates. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming today. We would like to thank, and you can pass this message to your coworkers and everybody who works with you. Thank you, and we appreciate your hard work and commitment to this institution, Stat Unified District. Thank you. Thank you. Now we go to 7.3. This is information. Safety item presentation by Mr. Marcus Omlin, Emergency Service School Safety Program Coordinator. Welcome to Stat Unified District and welcome to be here, sir. Thank you.
Hang on just a second. I'm not sure. Can y'all hear him in the back? So can we check the microphones?
Not working. There we go. Okay, good evening, trustees. I'm Marcus Omlin, Emergency Services Coordinator. Thank you for bringing the position back. And for those who lobbied to get me back, thank you very much. And what I'm going to do right now is just give a quick update. I've been here 9 days and it's been pretty intense, especially with the heat that we've had in transportation. So I'll just give a quick update. First, we've partnered with San Joaquin County Homeless Strike Team. Excuse me. It's a weekly meeting with public agencies and other agencies directly involved with assisting with the homeless issues in our community. So we've got CHP, local jurisdictions, law enforcement, City of Stockton, San Joaquin County, Caltrans, and others. We're putting together a crisis planning advisory committee to assist with district level decision-making when it comes to major safety goal planning. Transportation heat protocol, we're going to add it to our emergency operation plan. And that, again, transportation, health services, pretty much all our leadership team, we've worked together. We had to work quickly because we had issues coming to the superintendent's office, and we collaborated and really took care of business. So it was really good. So right now, after this, we've learned a lot. So we're going to put together a protocol. A homeless guideline for staff. So what that's going to be is a safety guideline for staff when we encounter any type of homelessness. Some use the word term non-homed, so it just depends. But yeah, that's going to be a safety concern for our staff, especially with a lot of the homeless encampments around our schools. Buzzer systems, security system, which is a physical security is what we're looking at. And this was a project that I started a few years ago. And we are looking to finalize that, finish it. And I'm excited. This is really dear to me. And as a parent, as a grandparent, this is usually how I approach school safety. I'll actually go to the school, and then my first question is, especially after I talk with the administration, staff, if I'm doing trainings, I go, do I feel comfortable or confident that my child would be safe here? And that's usually the test after I leave. And if it's no, and then I try working with the administrator to make it even that much better. Work on the weaknesses. The district office. So we're working to finalize a pager system, an emergency system. We're going to test it Thursday. So if there's an emergency in the district office, that all personnel are going to be able to receive a page that if we need to do an emergency lockdown, that they're going to get it immediately. And then lastly, again, this is just a quick update. We're working on plans to introduce or add to our website safety information that's available to the public as well. So they're aware of what our safety plans are, or not specific safety plans, but just general safety plans. And that's it. And just, I've been out to the school sites. I've been to probably 5 now. And I'm starting to put together some trainings for our schools again, our emergency operations center. We're going to get that up and running again. Yeah, and that's what we've been working on. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Maria Mendez?
Thank you. Welcome back, Ms. Allen.
Thank you.
The question is for the main district office. When it's a soft lockdown, hard lockdown, are the gate gonna actually be, would it be workable with people's badges during the lockdown? Yes or no? Same thing, the entry employee door? Because if it's a lockdown,
Yeah, so as far as the operation of it, especially a lockdown, that I would say no, but I mean, again, I'm not sure how, I just started, so actually how are we gonna turn it off quickly? Messaging out to staff is critical, even with Share 911. So that's another thing, Share 911, implementation of Share 911 again. And then the committee is gonna look at too, is this gonna be the proper mass notification for our school district? But yes, that is part of it. When you're, especially in a hard lockdown, we want to make sure that everything is shut down, everybody's down. Generally, a hard lockdown, we can lift to a soft lockdown once we determine that there's no longer a threat. So, and then a soft lockdown, that's going to be up to the admin as far as personnel coming and going. But a hard lockdown definitely should be, if there's a button that we can turn off, we definitely should have something like that. Yeah.
thank you.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes, I also have a question for you.
Sure.
I have a phone call from a couple parents, from Medicine High School, and they bring this to my attention. What happens, Cecilia, when it's people around outside and suddenly the police PD is going around and trying to catch somebody? How they work is that unified district and how the messages can be better sent to them so that way it will not be a mistake. If an intruder is outside, they're confused, like they think then they're inside. So they will like kind of like the messages be a little bit more than it was outside, not inside the campus, then somebody was going around. And,
Yeah.
acting not behaving correctly.
Yeah, I don't know if I understand you correctly, but usually you'll work with local law enforcement. So if they're going to do some type of police operation near our school, that they let us know at least 15 minutes before. We've had this problem. I'm sure Chief's aware of it. So we have the opportunity at that point to put our school on a soft lockdown. So we had that incident at Merlot where we had police activity spill over to our campus. And so again, quickly locking down our campuses is going to be critical. So my test for elementary schools is a minute. If we get under a minute to get locked down, that's great. Smaller high schools, we're looking at about 2 minutes. Larger high schools, about 3 minutes. And this is a hard lockdown. So just active threats, active shooters. So the one active threat we had at Stag, that person tried to open 3 of our doors and they were locked. So again, the message that's going to be to staff, and this is what I've been preaching since I started, is lock your doors. Because there has not been an active threat that's come through a locked door. So that's critical. But yes, working with other agencies, making sure that that community violence, if it spreads over to our school, that we're going to get locked down quickly. But that's going to be key, is the communication part of it.
Yeah, what happened is, and she called me and she told me, my kid texted me, and I guess she gave the wrong information. And it's, communication is very important.
Correct.
And, the kids will text each other. And that's what happened. And she called me. She sent me the text, and it was just somebody was walking outside with a blanket. So, but anyway, I understand, and you guys are working hard. I just want to bring this to your attention that sometimes the communication, the kids, they get scared for, some children are more sensitive.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I have to respect the parents also. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're looking at redundancy in communication. So just PA systems, radios, telephones. So we have the Share 911 activation. So they should be getting all those messages. And that's critical to redundancy in our communication systems.
Comment.
Your microphone.
I know as a teacher back in the 90s and 2000 era, many of us hated locking our doors. It was an inconvenience. I hated it. I usually kept it open, and then people would come back and tell me, hey, you gotta lock your door. Now it should not be an option. I understand absolutely why that door must be locked, and you just have to have that habit. I don't know that we still have teachers that think like I did. I would get rid of that thought pretty quickly, knowing what I know now as compared to then. We didn't have the problems back then that we see now, but then occasionally we did. So thank you, and get that message out. Lock those doors. That's a big deal. In the old days, the only thing that stopped an active shooter was a locked door at times. And then you had a practice of putting the kids under the desks or in a certain area of the room. And we practiced that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, I want to point out, we do have a what we call threat inquiry, threat assessment. So we have our physical security that we're dealing with, and then also our internal campus part, so our culture. So if there's a threat from a student, that's handled immediately. And working with Karen Coleman and her group, it took about 1.5 years, but we put together a evidence-based threat inquiry, threat assessment protocol for our district. And there's probably not too many K-12s that have a threat assessment protocol. It's usually colleges that have them. So again, these are just combined with these other security measures to make our schools safer. That's the ultimate goal. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, Trustee Flores.
Trustee Flores, microphone yours.
Marcus and Dr. Miller, can you guys schedule a meeting date for my area schools? I've already spoke to the principals and explained to them that I would like to schedule an area 2 safety meeting with all of our law enforcement agencies. And also send an email out to all of our law enforcement agencies. So for our admins and our VPs and whoever is going to be coming into the back, I see some of my school principals here. And I'm sure that they will be in support, as this is something that I've been talking to them as I visited their school sites. And I've also already talked to Chief Franco and Marquez and Andrews, and they're all aware. So I've kind of did the groundwork already. If you guys can just find a date, and then if you need me, I'll reach out to the law enforcement agencies as well. But I don't want to overstep your role. So if you guys want to do that, or I could do it as well. And then I just also want to say that the Merlot incident, being one of my school sites, that I was able to go out there the next day and check on them. And it wasn't that he was trying to attack anybody on the school site. He, from the information that I got from the other law enforcement agencies, is that he had an altercation or was in an argument or disagreement with somebody else.
Yes.
And he was seen. And so he just happened to be jumping the gate at a school site that happened to be in the area that he was at. I'm not trying to diminish that, because our school is in a very high risk area. And this is something that we do have to be ready and prepared for. But I also want to say thank you to the risk management team. Mr. Cardenas, and I'm bad with names, but who, Gray was out there, and so there was somebody else out there. But our mental health clinicians, they all went to all the school site, to all the classrooms, and informed the students that if they felt unsafe, they had an option to talk to somebody. So thank you for all of those involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I would like to thank you for the gate and it's been placed in Stag and the security measurements and that you're doing. Thank you very much. We're very appreciated. Anybody else have any more questions?
I just have a comment.
Oh, thank you. Alicia Rico?
Welcome back, and thank you so much for all this information to you bring us to us today. And also, I know you're so busy right now. Your agenda, I bet you, is really, really full. But maybe on some time you can bring those this presentation to parents from each school side, because when those kind of lockdowns come back to the school, as a parent, when I receive these calls or these messages, I just get all paranoid. So the first thing that I can do is, oh my God, I'm going to the school. So I think that's a good idea to parents know what is a lockdown means. So that way we can make.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I do presentations to parent groups on a regular basis. I mean, I'm going to be setting those back up again on and then all pretty much the entire district is what we're looking at too. So all departments. It's quite a task, but we're going to get it done. So.
And thank you so much. I really appreciate what are you doing right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
One more question?
Sure.
The assistants, do they have access 24/7 for Share 911 at all times?
The assistants?
Yeah, the office assistants.
Yes, again, I've been gone, so Share 911, I used to manage that mass notification system, so I need to check on that, and that's one of my main tasks now, but normally, yes. So what used to happen, I think it's still the same way, the principal has access to lock down the school using Share 911. Again, first form of communication is going to be the PA system, immediately get the messaging out, and then 911, she can direct her office assistants to go ahead and set that communication out. So there's some teamwork within that office. So immediately is that PA system, we're on a hard lockdown. 911, office assistant at the same time, they're sending out a notification. But here's the thing too, what our police department, they have the ability to send that out. So as soon as they get that call, they'll send out the lockdown. And what that's supposed to do is go to all administration, pretty much the entire, our emergency operations center. We're going to know about it immediately that there's a hard lockdown, say at Merlot. And that's the point. But yes, to answer your question, correct. They should have access.
Yeah, because the only concern at Merlot is that the preschool area was not notified that they were going to be in a hard or a soft lockdown, whatever. And I do, from what I was told by SPD, is that everything happened so fast that I think it happened like at 2:46. And then the intruder ran right behind a teacher at around 2:50. So it was like literally 4 minutes that they were able to get on campus, chase them down and catch them. But the preschool staff was not made aware.
Okay, I'll follow up with that. Merlot, preschool staff, okay.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Yes. Trustee
Maria
Martinez.
Mendez?
Training, you mentioned trainings. We have a lot of substitutes for the different departments and they don't have access to the computers.
Correct.
Are they gonna be trained and actually ask them to download the app of Share 911 in order for them to understand that?
Yeah, there's levels of access to Share 911, but that's a possibility. So the substitutes, I used to do a training at the PDC at the time. So when we were hiring substitutes, we'd have all of them at the PDC. Then I would go ahead and roll out our lockdown trainings, our evacuation guidelines. I mean, all that, everything they should know. Also, when they come to the school, that's one of the first things the principal does is hand them, there should be a packet it's been 9 days since I've been here. This is just going back. So a packet with the emergency protocols for that substitute teacher. Yes. But we've, again, it's just been challenging. I know for the district too, with personnel in general, just getting people hired. But yes, there were guidelines for that, and there should be.
Thank you. Because I know we have brand new staffing at different levels, at different sites as well.
Mhm.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, you're welcome.
I need to add a comment.
Okay,
My daughter goes to Merlot, and we found out about this. We were worried, very upset, and then all of a sudden I realized she's not in school right now. I have to say, we have to thank our lucky stars that Thursday is a short day. We picked her up at about 1:15 to 1:20. So the people on campus were the teachers, the kids weren't so much involved. No great mass hysteria until the following day when my daughter had to find out, which we got great help, great counseling from the Merlot staff. God bless them, they're amazing. Trust me, she wouldn't go there if they weren't. But this is a thank our lucky stars deal, given the fact that it was a short day. Kids weren't there. Any other day, so this was a 1 out of 5, roll the dice, good luck. So, bear it in mind, and nothing to stop him. He jumped a fence. What do you do? All right.
thank you. Here, no more questions. We would like to thank you for coming in and give us all this information.
Yeah, my
Thank
pleasure.
you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Omlin.
We're going to 8.1, public hearing notice. The public hearing notice, adoption of resolution number 22-25, determination of sufficient standard alignment textbooks and instructional materials. Open the public hearing. Staff reports. Do we have any staff reports? None. Public testimony. Trustee comments. You have any trustee comments in this item? Hear none. Close the public hearing. And we need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
Second.
A first and a second. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion. Maria Mendez, the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Was this vetted through STA for approval?
Think these lovely ladies coming to the podium to answer your question. Thank you for coming to the podium.
Hello again. This is a legal requirement that has to happen every year within 8 weeks of school. And it's simply a report on the Williams visits. And we are to report out if Williams in their visits at the school sites determined that we were lacking any materials or if there are any complaints. And there were none. Williams found no deficiencies in any of their visits. So this is simply coming forward as a result of that.
Thank you.
Any more comments? Hear none. Ready for the vote? Everybody to agree, say aye.
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 Any no's? Abstains? Then motion pass unanimous. Now we're going to 8.2. Now we go to 9.1, approval of second reading for board policy and administration regulation number 1312-1 and 1340. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
Second.
We have a first and a second discussion. Discussion, and you'll employ trustee.
So this on here says that it's prepared by Dr. Jack Lipton, General Counsel. Dr. Lipton, who on this board advised you to prepare and work on this policy?
Mr. Lipton?
Trustee Flores, I worked on this policy in collaboration with Human Resources, Constituent Services, and the Superintendent's Office.
That's not my question, Dr. Lipton. My question is, who on this board advised you to work on this policy in this manner?
Trustee Flores, I have the same response to your question. That's how I got involved in that, in this policy.
Dr. Lipton, you're a lawyer. I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm sure you understand what our role is on this board. Our role as a
Point of
board
order, please. Point of
is,
order.
I'm asking very calmly and very respectfully. The
Trustee-
role of this board
Trustee
is-
Flores, our intern superintendent is going to talk to you. Thank you.
So with any board policies that we bring forward as a various departments, we do have those reviewed by legal counsel to make sure that they are up, to legal regulations. So it is not uncommon to have legal help us with those.
I just want to clarify our role as a board member, as us up here, that is our role to oversee the policies and then give direction to the superintendent and then give legal counsel the order to work on these or not. So that's why I'm saying, as a board member, who on this board are you working with that brought this forward? It's a simple question.
This item is brought in by the staff working in conjunction with the attorney following the law. And when it comes to the board agenda, comes to the president and to the VP, we just see it and we bring it to all you guys. You guys get everything by Friday. Thank you.
Okay, then I will go ahead and close out with this. As a board member who understands my role, who knows that we are to oversee policy and budget and to work with the superintendent, that I was not part of this discussion to bring this forward, again, excluded from any need to bring this forward again. And my comments are going to be the same for 9.2. Thank you.
I totally disagree with all your respect, Vice President. My Vice President has always been here with me. We only do what we have to do. These items come to all of us every Friday until today, Tuesday. And this is a routine that has been going on for many years in the Stockton Unified District. As a matter of fact, the staff is working very hard and they work very hard for this resolution, like they work with the teachers and they work with everybody to continue our business. Thank you so much for your understanding. Let's proceed with the vote. Maria
Comment.
Mendez, yes.
How come the CSBA template is not here? Was it actually utilized to do the revisions? Because I know we follow the CSBA board bylaws and board policies templates.
Mr. Lepton?
Trustee Trustee Mendez, I don't believe that the original policy was based on the CSBA template, and these revisions were done, I said, in consultation with Human Resources and the Superintendent's Office to streamline and clarify the constituent services complaint process. It wasn't done pursuant to the CSBA template. It was done pursuant to the superintendent and the Human Resources recommendations for how the process needs to be streamlined and clarified.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lepton. Thank you.
Scott McBride.
Ms. Kama Bryan?
So as a board member, Mr. Lipton, I'm now giving you full authority to go full steam ahead and keep working on this because our complaint process got bogged down. It's a terrible problem. It's been a terrible problem. I think Tracy Miller knows that. I think somebody counted something like 200 plus complaints. So I deeply appreciate you getting involved in this. And, Ms. Miller is the interim superintendent, pretty much does the work that needs to be done. And then the board gives input. So I believe procedures are followed here. I understand, I would like to be more involved, yes. Now I can be, and I really do appreciate you doing this. So continue on full steam ahead, at least from my point of view. Thank you.
Trustee
Thank you.
Flores.
Trustee Flores again?
I just want to make sure that during this process that every complaint is viewed and reviewed, and we're not just picking and choosing what complaints to put first, because there have been some complaints that have been in there for months and months and have not been reviewed. But if you make a complaint against Trustee Flores, well, you get superseded all the way to the front of the line. Or if you make a complaint against anybody who is in the hot seat, you get sent all the way to the front of the line. So just make sure that we are equitable when we're processing those complaints.
Thank you. So is there no more discussion? Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
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 Any nays?
I'm going to abstain without full confidence in the
abstain?
way the process was followed.
Abstain.
We got 5 and 2 abstains. Motion passed. Now we go to 9.2, approval first reading for bylaws 9323, meeting conduct. We need a first and a second.
I'll do first.
I do second.
We have first and a second. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion, Maria Mendez?
Thank you. Again, was the changes for this board bylaw was CSBA template utilized to guide you? Yes or no?
Mr. Lepton?
As no, the CSBA template was not used. Rationale behind this revision is to clarify what happens when there's a translation and to comply with law in that regard.
Follow-up question. So this board has adopted the board meeting code of conduct. And it's repetitive under this board bylaw. Why? As this is a protocol, but at the other board policy, and it's already stated, like our staff member has stated during their comments. Why are we repeating ourselves or doing protocols, even though it's already written on the board bylaws?
Mr. Lepton?
President Mendez, you're correct that some of the protocols are set forth in this board bylaw 9323, but not all of them. And the superintendent drafted these additional protocols that's now posted on the agenda and posted in the board meeting in order to address concerns about protocols at recent board meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Lepton.
I have a question.
Question?
I don't know if there's any union leaders out here who can verify their union rights. They do have a right to unionize and show up and speak on behalf of their issues and concerns. And so if that means standing up where they are to represent that they are here to represent the person speaking at the podium, that should be their right. Am I correct or am I speaking out of place?
Any more questions? Ian Ron?
Let the record reflect that there was no answer from any legal counsel or anybody on the board. Thank you.
No more questions. Let's get ready to the vote. Everybody to agree, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody who abstain? No?
No, because we're repeating ourselves on different documents.
Anybody who abstain?
No.
Okay, we have 5 and 2 noes. Motion passed. Now we go to 10.1, Board Committee Report, City of Stockton Parks and Recreation Committee. That will be our Vice President, Raymond Zuleta. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. Our next Parks and Rec meeting is going to be at 5:30 on September 26th at downtown City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Now we have San Joaquin County School Boards Association, Executive Committee, and that's by our Vice President, Raymond Solera.
Hello again. For this one, we have a all trustees meeting where everyone is invited if you're in the area of CSBA Region 8. So all trustees, I'll send over the invitation. It was sent to me by our Region 8 Director, Paul. And it's going to be on September 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. And it's just an opportunity for people outside of our CSBA reps to be able to meet the other trustees in the area and then the other people that work with CSBA and as representatives. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Suarez, for your update. Now, 3x3 committee is represented by me, Cecilia Mendez, Board President in Area 1. We are not going to have a meeting this month, and I will give you the update really soon, as soon as we got a date with the City Council. Thank you. Now we go to 1852 Foundation Committee, and that will be our.
That's me.
Brian.
All right.
Thank you.
So we're looking at Friday, 9/23, September the 23rd, holding a meeting 4:30 to 5:30 in regard to what we can do to assist and improve and receive funding and donations, finances for charitable cause with the 1852 Foundation. So please be here and set that date aside if you can make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Escama Brian. Now, the next one will be 10.2 brief reports for trustees activities, and we're going to start from the right. And the first one will be Maria Mendez. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Maria Mendez, representing Area 5. This week, I don't know if you guys know, but I think it's only truck drivers, but I call it the Transportation Appreciation or Recognition Week. And also yesterday was actually the National Police Women's Day. And I would like to say thank you to all our women officers and also to our bus drivers out there. Greatly appreciate your service.
Okay, you can continue, Maria Mendez.
Thank you. I also would like to request a couple of certificates because the Marathon Petroleum has actually adopted Washington Elementary School and actually has given them like $7,600 for teachers' projects that they would like to implement in the classrooms. But out of the, and $2,000 is towards the, to buy all the students at Washington Elementary School, some lanyards, water bottles, and the string backpacks as well. And I know that their luncheon for the truckers is actually tomorrow. So that if we have those certificates for the next board meeting, I greatly appreciate it. We'll give you guys the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Mendez. Now, Scott Zachary. Zachary, it's your turn, please.
My apologies. I have no report for today, though. Thank you.
Okay, Cecilia Mendez. I wanted to thank DLAC for inviting me to the event and thank the San Joaquin School. Thank everybody, workers of 318 who invite me to a school and say hello to me. Thank you. That was very kind. I want to bring something to your attention. I'm willing to sit down with people right here in the district. I'm being followed 3 times, followed all the way to my house. I did have to call the police. Now the police is telling me, then I can call this time again and I can be in the police and they can come and guide me and help me if that person follow me again. I'm a single mother. I got a handicapped kid. People, if they don't care, that's fine. But I'm gonna say it today. If I'm followed today, I ain't gonna call the police and that person gonna have to say why that person is following me. And I have witnesses, they have seen the guy following me, even employees, and they're willing to testify. I am tired, look it. I'm not a perfect person, but don't follow me. You wanna know me, you wanna get to know me, call me, make an appointment. But don't follow me or go up to my house to take pictures of my kid. He's disabled, come on. My son is disabled. He's artistic with disability problems, surgeries. Please, respect my privacy. That's why I built a fence. You don't need to get on top of my fence in there. Please don't do that. Don't get yourself into hurt yourself in my property, trying to jump my fence or something. Don't do that. Please do not follow me. I'm gonna have to call the police when I'm driving back home. And whatever happened, I'm not responsible no more. I am tired. Please make an appointment. Make an appointment with the secretaries if you wanna see me. You wanna send me emails, send me everything you want. But don't follow me. It doesn't look right. It's just too many times now. This is not normal. 3 times is too many times. So today, I'm letting you guys know now, whoever follow me, I'm gonna call the police. I'm sorry, I can't take it no more. And the chief knows. The chief knows what I've been going through. I've been followed, even license plate I got. This is enough. So I'm asking you and I'm begging people to please don't follow me. Make an appointment. Call in the secretaries and make the appointment. I'm a human being. I have a family, a son who needs me at home. Thank you. Back to you, Vice President.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for those of you who are still, here. Last, last couple of weeks, we had some really cool opportunities going off in the district. The Franklin Welding Lab ribbon cutting was a really awesome just opportunity to see how hard work in our district. A lot of times it takes a while. I know that welding lab had been something that people had been talking about since I was in high school, and I graduated in 2008. And so to see, our administrators, to see our different staff members, working and bringing that to fruition was something that was really amazing. The community really is celebrating seeing, the return of these CTE type opportunities for our students, and, just really celebrating the effort that they're seeing us put into, just making sure that we highlight those opportunities. And so I just want to make sure that I say thank you to the building trades councils, our labor trade councils, also to Nathan Haley and his team. I know that they are just carry on the work that my old administrator from high school, Mr. Tom, who's sitting in the stands. I know that he was a big part of that work as well. And so just to see this work that for over a decade had been undergone to return opportunities to our students and to our community that, have been long overdue was amazing. And then I know that Franklin has a homecoming game this Friday. So we were just there for the field opening. If you have the opportunity, continue to come out, not to just Franklin, but to all the other games. I caught an Edison game this year as well. But let's make sure that we're continuing to show up and support our students, not just here in this boardroom and not just in the classroom, but out in the community and in every way that we can think of, because they're looking for us and they really appreciate the support. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Vice President. Well said. Alicia Rico Clerk.
Good afternoon again, and thank you for joining us once again. I had to write it down what I'm gonna say because it's too much what I'm gonna say. I'm going to begin, and I want to congratulate the student board representative Vanessa Morales from Franklin High School. I want to let her know and all the students that it's an honor for me to be part of SUSD and to be able to represent all of them in general, to support, help as the best I can. Also, I want to thank Abby Welker, a student honoree from Chavez High School, for being part of this meeting today. And I'm going to continue that I want to let you know the community, parents and stakeholders, that the reason that I'm not answering calls right now, emails and messages, is because I've been treated with a really bad messages, racial messages. And they know. I know the person is here today. This is something that as a board member, as a parent from the district, from the community, I don't deserve that. When I decided to run for this board, is to support for the students, to the community, to have a better community. And all the bullies who is bullying me right now. I was bullied when I was in a high school and a middle school, and I know the feeling. And I've been through that right now. And we always say, we need a better community. We need a better students. We need a better parents. We need everything better to be better. When we have those bullies, bullying to everyone, this is not right. And to that person, the only word that I'm gonna repeat it is, I'm a trash Mexican, and I'm not deserve to be a board member because I'm Mexican. So to those who say they trying to fix SUSD, how they expected to this SUSD district when the majority of the students, parents, and community are Latinos, Mexicans, and another color. I just want to know, how do you guys expect to fix this SUSD that way? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clerk. Alicia Rico, Escama Brian.
All right. Thank you, Alicia. I made it through the heat wave. I didn't go out much. I worked the phone during that, whenever and wherever possible. But finally, at the end, I finally got out and I did do a quick drop in over at August School, one of our avid sites. They are an avid leader. And if you ever get a chance to see any demonstration work over there, please do. They do wonderful work. Little school, you look at them and you wonder, how could they do so well? They've always done well under that system and that school and under that leadership. So again, thank you. And when I got there, they let me in with a button and a camera, and I felt very safe, and I didn't have to worry about running around and sneaking in. It's a big school with a lot of fence, so hey, we'll work on that. But again, Mr. Omlin, I guess, thank you for making sure those systems are intact. Keep it growing, keep on doing that. And lastly, I did get a concerning letter from the county in regard to our budget and regard to how some things have been processed. To that end, I have full faith in our new CPO hired under Tracy Miller. And so Joanna Juarez, correct? I'm glad I said that right. You have a large load in front of you. Things were left undone, but please shout out to me, and I'm sure you can shout out to any one of us to get the help you need. But I have full faith you will be able to, and in fairly short order, because you do have a good staff with you. And I will say, I've watched this budget closely over the years, many years. I sat there with the SDA complaining about how much money we had. I know what these numbers mean, and I've studied them well. I have a business degree. I understand, and I have studied the issues. Educational budgets are hard to understand, but we will get them back together. We will get them in good order. And essentially, I agree with Mr. Zuleta's findings. We went through a lot of money, and it is turning around, and we're beginning the process of turning this ship right side up with the way things were funded. I walked in and saw $60 million go down the drain over 2 years with another superintendent. And that's just factual information. And I think it can be proved. Mr. Zuleta, I think you gave us some of that. Thank you all, and have a good day.
Thank you, Escama Brian. Last board member, Trustee Flores.
All right, so Merlot, when I was over there at the school site, I got to meet the preschool staff. And I have good news. So if there's any Merlot staff, you could go back and let the preschool teachers know that I have asked Mr. Miller from Jane Frederick to build some preschool benches and tables with his students. So they're going to begin working on those, and then we can get those over to our preschool parents so that the teachers know that they're coming. They have to be built. And then I also want to acknowledge that peacekeepers came out to Jane Frederick to work with our youth out there after they had the fight that they had in the front of the campus. So they're able to build relationships with the students there. And I also had a question for STA teachers. And Dr. Miller, I'm not sure, but I have some parents who have some concern. And it's at one of my school sites where I have a really good relationship with the principal, so I don't want to put the school on blast because I love them. But my question is, what is a protocol for allowing parents in the classroom for special ed classes because they want to come in and help? There's been some concern about not letting parents know when they get bit or scratched or anything like that. And we are short-staffed, so I just know we're short-staffed in that department. So if there's any STA members out there, if you guys can help get some special ed teachers over at my school site, I'll talk to you about it. And then I want to acknowledge our interim chief, Franco, and I don't know what level she's at right now. Andrews, she's sergeant? Officer Andrews. They were able to join me at the Opportunity House, the reopening for the Women's Center Youth and Family Services. So if you guys are working with any youth who feel unsafe, they can go to any RTD bus and say that they don't feel safe and they need a safe place, and they will directly take them to the Opportunity House or to the shelter that they have there, which is located at 426 East Flora Street. They just have a house. It's beautiful for our youth. And so I appreciate them coming out and meeting them as well. And they also we've had a lot of run-ins that we've had to have our SUSD PD come out and investigate at different school sites for the different concerns. And also McDonald's, I know my time is up. Real quick, McDonald's is also a safe place. So if you let the youth know, they could go to any McDonald's and say that they need a safe place, and they will be directed to this location. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Flores. Now we have 10.3. And I need a first and a second. That's reaffirmation of approval resignation agreement with John Ramirez. I need a first and a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. We open it for discussion.
Discussion.
Discussion, Maria Mendez.
Thank you. This board agenda is not really reflecting the recommendation of the San Joaquin Office of Education from Dr. Toy Brown for cure and correct. Why not?
Mr. Lipton?
Trustee Mendez, the letter, the letter from Dr. Brown alleged that there was a Brown Act violation in the approval of Mr. Ramirez's resignation agreement. And under the Brown Act, the remedy to cure a Brown Act violation in such a circumstance is to bring it back and correct the alleged errors. And that's exactly what's happening now. In other words, the district is not acknowledging that there was a violation, but assuming that there was, this board agenda item will cure any alleged violation.
Follow-up question. Dr. Toy Brown recommendation was to disseminate this documentation into two parts. But it was not done for this board agenda. One of them should have been to accept his resignation, and then the other one reaffirming whatever as an employee or however a merit, superintendent merits is stated on this resignation documentation reflecting on 10.3 right now. Why legal counsel did not bring two separate agenda items, two separate documentations to do the cure and correct?
Like I said, the recommendation to put the agenda item like it was in order to comply with law. The board has already approved this resignation agreement in closed session. It was done properly. It was announced to the public. The agreement itself has been made available to the public. And that's why this agenda item is characterized as a reaffirmation. It's not voting on it for the first time, but it's reaffirming what the board has already done in order to eliminate possible legal challenges that have arisen.
Trustee Flores.
Trustee Flores, the microphone is yours.
This is the language again. Thank God for Sylvia Cantu reminding us about vocabulary. This is saying a resignation agreement. He is continuously telling us that this is a resignation, but we're still paying him. So Mr. Troy Brown, County Office Superintendent, also has lawyers and has a legal team. I'm sure that he wouldn't go out of his way to send us a notice, a public notice, letting us know that we violated a Brown Act if he wasn't for certain that that's not what we did. Okay, so that's one. Two, the agreement was not made public because we were specifically told not to share that during this conversation. And so it was not made public for the public to
Trustee
see.
Flores, they're having a hard time with your microphone. If you could step back. Thank you. That's okay.
This was not made public. So for you to sit there and say that it was made public is lying to the community. You being our lawyer, our legal counsel should know better, and you should be the one advising us not to take these types of actions that will lead us in violation of the Brown Act. This is not the first time that we have received your legal advice that has led us into a violation Brown Act.
Mr. Lepton.
Thank you, President Mendez. Like I said, in my view, there was no violation of the Brown Act. There was a discussion, frankly, advising the board before the agreement was ratified or approved that it was confidential. But at the moment that the board approved it, the approval was announced in open session, and that had, at that point, it became a public document. I know for a fact there's been public records requests for that document. It's been distributed. That's how the public has it, because it's a public document. It's fully available, and it's not confidential and hasn't been confidential from the point in which the board voted for it.
What duties has Mr. Ramirez worked to earn $285,000 of our students' money?
Mr. Ramirez came into an agreement and a final with all of us in closed session, then we cannot discuss it. And all of us know that we cannot discuss it. But it was announced, and it's in the minutes, people can hear, it was announced, his resignation. And he got a settlement, like any superintendent, like John Daisy, everybody can see it, is the same. Everybody who were here, superintendente, took a settlement, and that was the way it happened in there. All of us, we were there present, and that's the truth. That is the truth, what happened.
Can we let the minutes reflect that this is not a resignation? This is a resignation agreement to continue paying a man to sit at home, to give advice to the president, that costs $285,000 when we are short-staffed in preschool classes, when we are short-staffed in special education classes, when we got issues where there's bullying and stuff going on in our classrooms, when we have lack of CSM securities at our school sites. There is so much more money that this can be going to. What does Ramirez have on each of you that he can allow us to vote on such a contract?
I think then that is very wrong.
Point of order, Madam President.
Your accusations are wrong.
Madam
I don't know
President.
what you speak of this when you were present there.
Madam President, point of order.
Yes, sir.
I just like to ask a question to Dr. Lipton. Dr. Lipton, can you tell me what emeritus means?
Thank you, Vice President Zulueta. The term emeritus means former. So the title superintendent emeritus means that he was formerly the superintendent. That it wasn't intended to be a position. That position doesn't exist at the district. There was a possibility that there could be some transition work or work that he would do at the direction of the board president, but in fact, that hasn't happened.
Thank you.
And so,
this-
Dr. Lipton, would you say that that this title is, I mean, it says in the dictionary that it's honorary.
Trustee Zulueta, it could be honorary, but technically it means formerly the superintendent. And it's reflective of the fact that he has resigned.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Thank you.
Let's just say we stop paying him, right? Would he not be able to sue us and get even more money out of the school district's pocket?
Trustee Avalar, that's an interesting question. That the board and Mr. Ramirez have an agreement whereby the district has agreed to pay Mr. Ramirez continuation of his salary for 12 months. And if the district violated that agreement, that certainly would be a possibility, a strong possibility. he'd be-
Likely because, John is in the suit, he would likely sue us and we will lose more than what we're paying him right now. Am I right or am I wrong? Do you think he would? Or is that an option for him to do?
It certainly would be an option for him to bring a lawsuit if the district stopped paying him, because the district has a contractual obligation to do so.
I have another follow-up question. According to the agreement right here, it says, if the board believes and subsequently confirms pursuant to an independent audit or investigation that Ramirez engaged in fraud, misappropriation of funds, or other illegal fiscal practices while SUSD superintendent. We are currently under a FICMAT intensive audit. We have been told already that they intend to find fraud and misappropriation and mismanagement of funds under his leadership. So that right there gives us an out to not have to pay him anymore. And if we're concerned about him suing us, why aren't we concerned about all the parents and staff members who suing us as well for not meeting or supporting or representing their needs as well? So that right there tells us, so we're gonna pay him when our audit is done and it comes back that there's mismanagement of funds. Is he gonna pay us this money back?
Mrs. Flores, you are right. Everything is under investigation and we should not be discussing what FICMA or any investigators are letting us know. At this moment, nobody say that to me at all, but I'm gonna tell you, everybody gonna have to follow the process. And you had to follow the process. I had to follow the process. Everybody had to follow the process. When this investigation is over, we can do pretty much even get our money back, but it is not over. So please, you know what happened in closed session and I'm not gonna disclose it. All of us, we were present. Let's don't get into the politics things. We know what
Unfortunately,
happened.
I am a
We know what happened
transparent.
inside.
I am transparent. And this is what the community is
You
asking,
should
and
not
they
be
have a
talking
right to
anything
know.
than FIGMA
This
or
is a,
investigators told you. You cannot.
it's public knowledge. You should know that,
No,
President
no, you
Mendez.
should not be.
You should know that there's an audit
Every
because that's
investigation
public.
is private.
That is not private information.
Mr. Scama, Ryan?
To my recollection, I asked John Ramirez about the thick mat, and I believe he was the one with Mr. Biederman that started the process and allowed and invited them in. Now, I could be wrong about that. And Mr. Biederman may have memories. He may have been after or before thick mat. I don't know when this came in exactly. However, I have to tell you, it's a good thing that they're doing this audit because they will find what mistakes were made and things that have been going wrong. I do not believe that we're going to find that Mr. Ramirez is the source of that. And in fact, one of the reasons I believe that Mr. Ramirez was actually assisting us and working on fixing structural deficits and making them go away, because I looked at that work closely. That's one of the reasons I believed that he would be a good replacement as a superintendent. Maybe not as a full superintendent, but as he replaced Mr. Biederman. Now we're in a different circumstance, and now he's gone, and I hated seeing what happened. But by the same token, he was part of inviting Thick Mat in, from my memory, and we need that process. And I am glad that we have Thick Mat going on, because it will be the benefit of us all. We will find out the truth. We'll get to the bottom of the truth, no matter what anybody says here. And so let's be thankful for that. I also want to point out, Dr. Deasy got a full year settlement when he took off, when he left us. And I was not real happy with many of the financial losses that occurred during that time. And I have substantial documentation saying much money was spent. It was partly our responsibility, our fault, as well as his, but he spent, and we were looking at a $60 million spending. It's documented. Dr. Davalos also believably got a 1-year settlement. So this was traditional. I don't believe we attempted to do anything nefarious or wrong when we sat down and decided that Mr. Ramirez needed to move on. And he did need to move on. Now he's gone. And thankfully, we have Ms. Miller here. And I believe, and I appreciate her work. And Ms. Barrett, thank you for stepping forward in all of this as well. So we'll move on to the best of our ability. We'll get a long-term permanent superintendent down the road. And we need to work diligently, honestly, with integrity, with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing all these conversations, are we ready for the vote? Everybody who agree, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any noes?
No. Trustee Flores votes no.
Maria Mendez?
Trustee Maria Mendez is voting no.
Thank you.
Due to the fact that this board doesn't take recommendations very lightly from FIGMA, from the first report, San Joaquin Grand Jury, not even Wested, and now San Joaquin Office of Education from Dr. Toy Brown. My vote is no.
I totally disagree with you, and you know it. You know that that is not correct. You were there present even with the past superintendent, all of us. I totally disagree. Thank you. Oh.
President Mendez.
Yes, sir.
I apologize. The staff reminds me that there was a announcement that needed to be made before the vote.
Oh,
So
yes,
just
please.
to
Can the
clarify
announcement
that.
be- Have it, Mrs. Tracy? I'm not reading one of the secretaries. Where is the announcement?
Also, I would like
Excuse
to,
me, let me finish here. the
I
business.
understand, but I would also like the minutes to reflect that our legal counsel is giving us illegal advice and support, because
That
there was
is
some
wrong.
questions.
You know that is
If
wrong.
we were given the correct information from
Oh,
our
that
legal
is wrong.
counsel.
That
Thank
is
you.
wrong. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is wrong. That is wrong. You
The
know this is wrong.
recommendation for item 10.3.
Thank you.
The recommendation is to affirm the approval of the resignation agreement of John Ramirez at an annual compensation of $285,000.
President Ramirez, and just so there's no question about this being done properly, because the announcement is supposed to be made before the vote, may I suggest that the vote just be redone? Just to be
Let's
clear?
do the, again, everybody who agreed to this vote, say aye. Aye. Any noes to be again in the record?
No.
Trustee
Miriam
Flores
say
votes
no,
no
and-
to the resignation agreement.
Hello? Alicia, you say yes?
Yes.
Thank you. And Flores say no. Please make sure then that stay in the record. Thank you. Now we have the 10.4 approval minutes for August 16, 2022, special board meetings. I need a first and a second.
Scott McBride.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve 10.4 and 10.5 together.
Do you second that?
Second.
Second by Scott McBride. Any comments in the minutes? Any discussion? Here none, let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
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 No.
My vote is no. Trustee Maria
Thank
Mendez, due to the fact
We have.
that the audio recording has been audited
Five, yes.
and is not actually
Can I please finish
reflecting
the
our
meeting?
actual
Please finish with
minutes.
that item, please, ma'am.
I'm voting and I'm stating why I'm not voting no.
Let me just get
I
it.
have my right and you,
Thank you.
I asked.
Thank you.
asked-
Yeah, you finish it.
Thank
Finish it.
you.
Take
Because
all
you
your
did
time.
ask for
Take all
the
the time
actual
you need.
count and the votes. So why I'm explaining myself to our constituents, stakeholders, staff, and community members, why I'm voting no. It's because some of the recordings that are posted on the website for the public is not the actual recording because other people have recorded it and it's not reflecting what the minutes are. Thank you very much. My vote is no.
Thank you. Thank you. You need any more time? Thank you. Any more time? Anybody needs to talk?
So I just want to add it, the Trustee Mendez, do you have proofs that what are you saying? Because I'd be interested to
Point
know
of
too.
order,
Thank
this,
you.
this agenda item was already voted on. Should not be no more comments and should not be
Really?
addressing it. I reflecting, and I'm stating as point of order that it is already done after the vote is done. Thank you.
Lies and more lies.
President Mendez,
Thank you.
in public, I do not feel good. If you guys could see, my arm is in a lot of pain right now. I've been here as long as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave now
Yeah,
so
you're
that I could
welcome.
go
Yeah.
home and take my
Go and take care of
medicine.
your health. Go and take care of your health.
Thank you, everybody.
Stand and you are-
Community, I stand with you.
Thank you. Get well, get well. Go home and get well. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. 12.1, approval of agree. Got 11.1, superintendent report, and it's back to you, Mrs. Tracy
All right,
Miller.
good evening. I'll keep this short. Just want to give a shout out to Mary Rogers and her team, the after-school program coordinators, for allowing me the opportunity to come and share. I think it was last week, about the growth mindset and where we're going. So shout out to you all for the great work that you all are doing. I wanted to, go ahead, clap for yourselves, right? We talk about how they get little ones at the end of the day when they're maybe not quite their best. So thank you for the work that you do. Wanted to just, I'm happy to report, one of our district goals is that we are decreasing chronic absenteeism and increasing student engagement. And I am happy to report, thanks to the great work going on over at CWA, that we have reclaimed about 68 little ones who have re-enrolled in Stockton Unified. So Marianne and your team, Francine, thank you. And I did a little analysis. I was a little curious about the heat wave and how it would impact our absenteeism, right, our attendance rate. And I'm happy to report, contrary to what I was thinking, that there was actually a 1% increase in our little ones being at school last week. So that was, for me, I thought, so actually we had a little increase there. So, right. So, and then I already did give a shout out to the HVAC folks, for the relentless, diligent work that you did. I also want to acknowledge, we had extended cabinet today, and there was a shout out. Director Nate Knott gave a shout out, and the bus drivers did an exceptional job. Again, these bus protocols, health protocols, or heat protocols is not something anyone in this area has ever had to really deal with. And the bus drivers themselves came up with some ways to stay off the main, stay off the highways, and really work together to get our little ones home during this really, trying time. So again, great job there, bus drivers. Want to say that again, Marcus Almond's in the back because he's over there taking care of the power going out, but poor guy. Oh, where is he? There he is. Poor guy hit the ground running 15 minutes after he walked in the door. I already had him at work. So again, we're just super glad. As a result of, what is it? The blessing in disguise sometimes is after something unfortunate. I was able to get a meeting with Chief McFadden with the city PD. And so we are working regularly now on a collaboration. The next guy is Sheriff Withrow gets to have us visit him. And so some very positive things have come out of that. And I think we saw that at Merlot when we had the instant communication going on. So looking forward to that work. September is Suicide Prevention and School Attendance Awareness Month. So counselors, teachers, staff, support staff across the district are going to be doing meetings and special events for our little ones throughout the month. And then I just want to say that we have begun work on getting folks inside the district, having various committees. We're working on with our paraprofessionals, planning PD for next year, making sure that we have a beginning of the year stuff. And so looking forward to the upcoming work. That's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Tracy. Thank you. Now the next one is 12.1, approval of agreement for finished consultant service with Maxim Healthcare for Health Services Department. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
Second.
We got first and second. Any discussion in this item? Here none, ready for the vote. Everybody to agree, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstains? Motion passed unanimous. 12.2, approval to purchase 2 wheelchairs, accessible vans, one for Waltham Special Center and one for the young and adult. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the
All
first.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
Discussion. I'm glad
Maria
that
Mendez?
to actually see that some of our ESSER funding is using properly for these purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tara, for bringing these and preparing this item. Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nay? Any abstains? Motion unanimous. 12.3, approval amendment agreement to first furnish consulting services for Curriculum Associates LLC and Language Development Office. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
Second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second.
Comment.
Microphone is yours.
Thank you. My question is, was this vetted with STA? Because it is for the teachers as well as the state on the cover sheet. As the PDs already had been implemented through the school year, this school year with the STA, but at the same time, there's other agenda items that are coming forward just now. How are we gonna work with STA? We have to negotiate those dates again for their PDs because their PDs were counted. Was this counted within their PDs when you guys did the agreement? Because if you guys did, but at the same time, the curriculum, this agenda item comes afterwards, make me understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have somebody to address this issue? Tracy, are you gonna do it?
Dr. Susanna?
Thank you, Dr. Susana. Thank you.
How do I use this? Yep. Good evening, Trustee Mendez. I'm not sure if Dr. Gonzalez is in the audience, but I could definitely respond to this item. This item was actually approved in June of this year as an online platform. We did have ongoing conversations with STA. It is meant to be a supplemental support for teachers and how they support English language learners. In this case, we're bringing it back because it's been bought out by Kirkland Associates, which is actually an ongoing partner of ours. This online platform does a couple of different things. It helps us ensure that we're meeting Title III compliance with the services that are specific and meant to be for English language learners that include newcomers and long-term English language learners. And then in addition, providing resources and supports in and around how instruction can be conducted at the school sites. So the conversations did happen last year. They're ongoing. We're doing some professional development on October 10th. And so we have also been providing ongoing support to those teachers that are interested in utilizing the platform in terms of how to log on, get accounts. So a lot of good things for English language learners.
Thank you.
Any more questions on this item? Thank you so much for bringing it. And you know, the children need it and the community need it too, and the teachers need the help. Anyway, everybody to agree on this item, say aye.
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 Any nays, noes, abstains? Motion passed unanimous, unanimous. Now we go to 12.4. Approval of the 22-23 school plan for student achievement, SPSA for a school receiving Title I funding. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
I do second. Any discussion? No discussion. Get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstains? Unanimous. 12.5, approval agreement for furnished school services ProSolve for the expanded learning opportunities program, ELOP. I need a first and a second.
Motion.
I'll do the second.
We got a first and a second. Discussion? Anybody wants to discuss this item?
Discussion, if the maker of this agenda item can give us a synopsis on it. How is this gonna be implemented for just point of record? Thank you.
Hi, Mrs. Susana, or somebody else? Are you coming? Okay, Mary Rogers, thank you.
Hello, sir, ma'am,
Nice
and
seeing
hello,
you.
everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Yes, with expanded learning and also after-school programs, ProSolve is a social, emotional, and learning curriculum to our district, and they're not new to us. They were with us some years ago, and they were also approved back in February on RFP 1059. And so we just missed the boat of having them start in June with us. So we wanted to kind of get them back on and the agenda to be approved to work with our programs. They provide curriculums and also licensing for our students to do hands-on engagement with learning critical thinking, problem solving, communication, interaction with each other, collaboration, and it's through gaming. So it's something that our students would benefit from hands-on. And the good thing is our staff will be leading it. Our Stockton Unified facilitators will be leading it in our programs, as well as our partner organization staff members. ProSolve, they also provide professional development. So they'll be coming in, providing several hours, actually up to 80 hours of support to our staff on how to lead these activities with our students. So the feedback has been wonderful from both students, teachers, and staff. We've also communicated with our the bargaining units for CSE 318, and it was a thumbs up from them as well. So are there any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to tell you, thank you. You said it very well, very
Oh,
well. You're
my-
standing very well. Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's
Thank
nice
you.
meeting you. I never met you before.
Yes,
Nice
ma'am.
meeting you.
You as well.
Thank you. No more questions. Get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, noes, abstains? Motion passed unanimous. Now we go to 12.6, 2020-21, 2022 early literacy support block ELSB grant annual report for Hamilton, Hessington, Pulliam, Roosevelt, Taft, Taylor, Van Buren, and correction. We need a first and a second. Information only, yeah. This is only information, yeah. Anybody have any questions on this, or you want somebody?
Ms. Tiffany Ashworth?
Thank you, young lady, thank you.
Hi. So I am bringing this back to this board meeting because there was an upload error mistake. And so the document that was attached last board meeting, which was 12.2 for the August 23rd, the correction has been made, and I wanted to make it available for the public for review of the annual plan. So the district receives funding. It was actually a 3-year grant for early literacy support based on the fact that we have 7 schools that met the criteria. So as a result of that, they implement certain activities for K-3 students. And as a follow-up, the sites are required to provide an annual plan or on their accomplishments. And so that's just simply what that report was. It is a very lengthy report because we have 7 sites, and when multiple pages are accumulated into one document, it ends up being a pretty lengthy 300-page document. So if there's any questions I might be able to answer, I'll be happy to entertain.
Thank you so much. Anybody in here have any questions for Mrs. Ashley?
I just want to say thank you for bringing the updated and corrected documentation and make it public and accessible. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Sarah, sorry, I say your name, no, Miss Tiffany Ashworth. I cannot, yeah, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Scott, you have any more questions? Alicia? Thank
No,
you.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in the podium. We have 13.1 approval resolution number 2222 waiver request English language authorization. We need a first and a second.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve 13.1, 13.2, and 13.3 all at the same time. And if we have questions, we can go ahead and go through them.
I will second that. Let's get, we got a first and a second. Now we can discuss the items. Anybody wants to discuss this item? Hearing none. Get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, noes, abstains? Motion passed, unanimous. Now we are in 13.4, adopted or district initial proposal for the Stockton People Personal Association, then is SPPA for reopener contract negotiations for 2022-2023 fiscal year, and to authorize district negotiations term to proceed with negotiation. We need a first and a second.
Motion.
I'll do the second.
First and second discussion. Here, no discussion. Get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
nays? Abstains? Motion passed, unanimous. 13.5, adopted or district initial proposal to the California School Employees Association and its Stockton Transportation Chapter 885 CSEA for successor contract negotiation for 2022 to 2025 fiscal years, and to authorize the district negotiation team to proceed with negotiations. I need a first and a second.
Second.
Thank you. This is a good, very good item. Anybody who wants to talk about this item? No? Thank
Yeah,
you.
just go ahead.
Anybody who agrees, say aye.
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 Any noes, names, abstains? Motion passed, unanimous. 13.6, approval revised district salary schedules for confidential CSEA 821, CSEA Chapter 885, unrepresented USA and SPPA. We need a first and
I'll do
second.
the first.
Second.
We got first and second. Discussion. Here none. Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any names? Abstains? Motion passed unanimous. 14.1, adopting a resolution number 2224. appropriations limit recalculation for the 21-22 estimated appropriations, the GAN limit. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
Second.
We got first and a second. Any discussion? Here none, get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, noes, abstention, motion passed unanimous. 14.2, approval 2021-22 audited actors report. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
A first and a second, any discussion?
I like to ask, it's just more of a request.
Thank you, Vice President.
Dr. Miller, I heard there were concerns about our unedited actuals and what they look like in comparison to our plan and our second interim report. Is there any way that we can just get a outline, something put together to show like what monies we might have missed in terms of like if we didn't spend them from Esther's or from any of those others from COVID and stuff like that? Because I know if we don't spend money, we send money back, and that might have been part of the reason as well. And so I wouldn't look for those answers right now, but if you guys could put together something to be sent to all of us, I think that would help greatly.
Thank you so much, Vice President Zuleta. Thank you for making that notation. No, all the conversation. Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
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 Any noes and abstains, motion passed unanimous.
No,
Yeah? No?
No.
One no.
because there's a presentation, but our interim CBO did not give us any definition and make it more understandable to our community members and our stakeholders, especially when they have stated some comments. This is just like a report, and hopefully that you guys are following the guidelines of San Joaquin Office of Education. Thank you.
And thank you. Make sure, Mrs. Yuan, then let us get up and updated everything in the Vice President request and the numbers to be more clear for us. Thank you. We understand it's a hard job right now. Thank you. We appreciate it. Now we got 14.3, adoption of resolution number 2226, resolution declaring the district membership in the National Corporate Purchase Alliances and authorization to enter into contract with Frontline Education for software. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the second.
We have first and a second. Any discussion on this item?
Discussion.
Discussion, Maria Mendez?
If the maker of this agenda item, can you guys give us a synopsis for the point of record, please?
Thank you, Mr. Willie. Can you please come to the podium? We appreciate your attention in this matter.
Hello, board members and community. This is just a little synopsis. This is for a National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance. What this is just a cooperative for us to be able to leverage some of the competitive pricing and also competitive lower prices that may be available through this organization.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
It seems to be we have no more questions. Thank you so much for coming to the podium. Everybody who agree on this item, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstains? Motion passed unanimous. Now we have 14.4, approved for the purchase of Hype Energy 1200 remote tech support hardware, tech support renewal for 1 year. We need a first and a second.
All first.
I'll do the second.
We can have discussion about this item.
Just to comment, I know that there are other things out there, and I talked to, different staff, and I know Synergy isn't perfect and it doesn't do all the things that we need. We actually spend money on other programs to supplement Synergy, just depending on the area that we're in. And so if we can look into, I'm not against this. I know this is what we work with now, but if we can look into for the next school year into finding an integrated program that it exists. I know it exists, but that will take away us having multiple pieces in terms of Synergy and other tech and support. I think that would be great. And I know that there's some conversations going around in terms of staff that they've identified some things. So I just wanted to, make sure that we acknowledge that.
Thank you, Vice President, for your comment and your updates. Everybody who agree on this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstains? Any nays? Motion passed unanimous. Now we have 14.5, approval agreement with the California Services Management Incorporated for the E-rate services for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the second.
We got a first and a second. Any comment?
Comment.
Comment, Maria Mendez?
If the maker of this agenda item could please answer my question.
Mr.
The
Avatar,
E-rate services,
Mr. Avatar, can you please come to the podium, please? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
good evening. How many more agenda items are you gonna bring forward for different consultings? Like, it seems like it's repetitive. Can you explain for the point of record, please, or this agenda item compared to the other that they already came forward?
Yeah, others have been the services. Either it was that yearly maintenance renewals. This is the only consulting firm which I use throughout the year. And this consulting firm help us with all our E-rate processes to be in compliance with the E-rate, and also the ECF funding, which last year when I applied and got a grant for $5.8 million. So this organization or this consulting firm helped me follow through all the process and compliance.
Oh, thank you for letting us know regarding the funding as well. So that's why we're utilizing that funding for this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Aptar. It seems to be we don't have any more questions. If everybody agree in this, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
abstains and none of? Thank you. Motion passed unanimous. 14.6, approval renewal Microsoft 365 education subscription license for 1 year. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
Second.
We got first and second. Let's have the discussion. Anybody wants to have a comment in this item?
Discussion.
Discussion, Maria Mendez.
The funding source is coming from where?
Mr. Aptar? Can you please come to the podium? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The question is,
The question was, how are we gonna pay this?
yeah, this is
From
from
what
the
funding?
technology general funds.
Oh, technology general funds?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because it was not stated on the cover sheet. That's why.
It might have been just a clerical mistake.
Okay.
Any
Thank
more
you.
questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr.
So I got stuck paying for this year. And I used to get it for free through the school district. What's going on? And it's not cheap. It's about $100 for me to get this service. So at one time, board members, if we were working on things, we would call that up and somebody would give me that. Teachers got it for free, of course. I guess I don't fall into that category anymore, but I'm just curious. Are board members going to have access to it? Because we actually do need it in some of our work.
Yes, on district provided technology, yes, we will provide that.
Of course, I already spent the money, so I can't get that back, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avatar. Thank you so much. Everybody who agree, please say aye.
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 Any abstains or names? Motion passed unanimous.
I'm sorry.
14.7, approval implementation of the new financial system escape technology run by Frontline. We need a first and a second.
First.
Second.
Second.
We got first and second discussion. Any discussion in this? Maria Mendez, you
Thank
you got a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. According to San Joaquin Office of Education, they keep on letting us know through their letters regarding the budgets not to commit to multiple years contracts. Why are we doing multiple?
So Joanne, please, can you respond to Maria Mendez, please?
We're doing it because we get a bit of a discount with doing it for 3 years, and it's us basically committing to the system. This is a system that is ran by SJCOE. I worked for SJCOE for 5 years. They don't have to sell me the system. I can tell you it works.
Okay, thank you. Because it was just, as long as this was point of record, because as they say, We have to be, because we're responsible for the budget. Thank you.
Any more questions? Hear none, get ready for the vote. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes, any abstains, motion pass, unanimous. 14.8, approval agreement for furnished consulting service with Total Compensation Services Systems Incorporated for the 2022-2023 school year. We need a first and a second.
I'll do the first.
I'll second.
We got a first and a second. Discussion? Discussion, Maria Mendez.
Can you give us a synopsis regarding this agenda item?
Thank you,
Why?
Mrs. Joanne Juarez.
I'm
Can you
gonna
please
have Willie
respond to Maria
Gutierrez come
Mendez?
up. He's worked with it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Willie, you are again in the podium. Thank you. Coming.
Hello again. So this item is for the actual report, and what this is about, this is for the GASB 75. What this GASB 75 is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board number 75. It's a federal requirement that the district has to comply to. And what it is we have to report the amount of post-employment benefits that we make from tribute. This is a niche an exclusive evaluation that basically an actuarial has to do to be able to get the numbers. These numbers are included on the annual audit report. And we are seeking this actuarial company to be able to do this for us.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any more question, Maria Mendez, to Mr. Willie before so he can
No.
move from the
Thank
podium?
you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Willie.
Thank you.
Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agree on these items, say aye.
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 Any nays, noes? Abstains? Motion pass, unanimous. 14.9, approval agreement to furnish consultant service for the school facility consultants SFC for facilities planning. I need a first and a second.
First.
Second. Discussion, Maria Mendez. Joan Juarez, please.
Why are we utilizing this school facilities consultants?
I'm actually
For
gonna have,
point of record.
sorry, I'm gonna have Willie come up. He uses the system too with
Mr. Willie, please, we need you in the podium again. Mrs. Maria Mendez, stay in the podium now, please, sir.
No worries, I'll stay here. So basically, this is a consulting company. We have used them in the past. What they do for us is they look at the construction projects that we have. There are various requirements for us to do reporting to OPSC and also for DGS, and that's for the state construction review process. And they also help our district to be able to do the Fund 25 developer fees evaluation every year. And so we are seeking to get the review and approval for this company to be able to do these services.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any more questions, Maria Mendez, to Mr.
No,
Willie?
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody who agree on this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes, abstains? Motion passed unanimous. 14.10, approval amendment number 5, agreement for architectural services for Chavez High School Athletic Facility Improvement Project with Verde Design Incorporation for facility and planning. We need a first and a second.
I'll do
We have a first and a second. Any discussion in this item?
Discussion.
Mr. Armando Orozco is not here, but who will be, Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Willie, please come to the front. You should stay in there in the front. Thank you. Thank you, Maria Mendez. Mr. Willie is there for your question.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gutierrez.
No problem.
I guess I need to give you a bronze medal for that. Why are we exceeded the dollar amount from the previous approval of the agenda item?
Once I had a chance to review and discuss with staff, it appears that the scope of work changed. And also because we put it on hold for about 2 years, the COVID and cost of inflation and construction has also increased. So the service scope changed because of that.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Maria, before, so that way we can move it?
So the addition is 1 million, so we're paying an additional million, yes?
Actually, my understanding is that it's an increase of 85,000. It was at 919. Before, it was authorized at 919,000, and it's increasing by 85,000. So the total is the $1 million.
That's, yeah, okay, I feel a lot better. I misread that. Okay.
Any more
yes,
questions,
great.
Maria?
Yes.
You got more
Would-
questions?
This will be able to complete the project at Chavez,
At this point, my understanding is yes.
understanding? So
Yes.
you're not confident?
After the review, yes. I'm
Thank you.
comfortable,
Appreciate
yes.
it.
Any more questions? No more questions. Let's get ready for the vote. Everybody who agree on these items, say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstains? Motion passed unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We got oral suggestions. The oral suggestions, and Abby will announce the numbers on non-agenda items. Thank you.
Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Trustees, yes, we do have several comment cards for item 16.1. The first 4 comment cards are regarding the agenda item that was pulled earlier, 6.12. First speaker is Mr. Tim Quinn. Mr. Quinn, if you can please come up to the podium and mic. Next speaker is Miss Diane Vigil. Miss Vigil, if you can please come up to the podium and mic.
Ms. Diane Fisher.
Next speaker is Miss Kay Rustaller. Miss Kay. Next speaker is Paolo Enriquez. Mr. Enriquez. All right, next comment card is from Miss Sylvia Cantu regarding special board meeting.
Hello. How does this board expect to build support within the community and employees when you continue to have special board meetings during the time we are at work? The first one was July 14th, 21st at 10 o'clock. It was approval for UVC disinfection system from the list of qualified bidders from RFP summary. Still don't have that in my class. The next one was July 30th, 21, 1 o'clock, district's response to the jury report of San Joaquin County Grand Jury. That's something important. We're not invited to that one. The next one, May 20th, 2022, 2 o'clock, public employee performance evaluation, the superintendent. The next one, August 16th, 22, last month, scheduling further town hall meetings within the Board of Trustees regarding district's response to grand jury report. And then, of course, we have September 8th, approval to apply for continuous funding through the consolidation application, which means Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, which is over $25 million. I know that the board president does call the meetings, but as board members, you could say no. Hello, you can do these board meetings after 3 or 4. Why? It's like 2, 1, 12. I think the next one's going to be at 11 o'clock. It looks like it. Another thing real quick, since I have a minute and 37 seconds. Don't forget that as president by law, you are to enforce the board bylaws related to the conduct of meetings, not what you wish to do, what you call protocols or yada, yada, yada. Another thing, Dr. Lipton can give you advice, but according to the grand jury, they recommended you go to Brown Act training by November 2001. So you did that. They did that twice under R2.23 and also R.42. So if you don't know and you're going by that person, it's really your decision. You all had the training. But just so you understand, the failure to the district to cure and correct, they can go back to court and invalidate your decision, which will cost more money. And not only that, anything else that they have to spend time on. So you better hope by the end of the month on September 30th that everything goes well. But if it doesn't, I hope that the board members that voted yes don't blame and point the finger at him and say, oh, no, you're all adults. You all had the training. That's my point. He asked you to resign. I'm not saying, I think that Mr. Ramirez should have a resignation. I think he should get a package, like you said, Dr. Davalos and all that. But they didn't have where they had to report to the board president and bark like a dog and or other stuff. I'm just saying. And another thing, like I said, I do hope that these special board meetings that they're held when we're at work, and high schools, they get out later. We're starting later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next card is from Miss Mary Shaw regarding paraprofessional.
Hi, my name is Mary Shaw, and I'm retired from the district as a paraprofessional. I've been talking to Abby a couple times this week. She's been wonderful and helpful. I had a really important subject, at least to me, and I haven't been to a board meeting before, and that's why I'm sitting here all these hours to talk to all of you. So I substitute for few schools that they call me. I get to be called when I require to substitute. Just because I'm special and I have good work ethics. Okay, I'm just being funny, but it is true. I was really upset when I read the newspaper, as I do every morning, to say that they're requesting 22 hours minimum raise for restaurant and store workers, grocery store workers. And I'm like, hello, we are substituting for the district. The permanent special ed assistant, they get to have vacation, they get their sick day, surgery, whatever they do. We jump in and help, but nobody cares. Nobody's rewarding us. We make, does everybody know we make $18 an hour? Do you know when you go on the site, I do that out of curiosity because I don't go in to pick a job. Like I said, I get called for a job. There is 20 to 32 openings. I mean, really, the teachers make $350 a day. We are not valued. We get $18 an hour. That's under $100 if you take the taxes out. I just need to see more effort from HR and special ed to work together, because I want to tell you something. If we're not in that class helping, you are hurting the students. The student cannot get the help they need. And that's our goal, all our goal. We are here for the student. One teacher in a special ed class cannot do it on their own. So I would really like to see some change in that area. There's no, like, we don't belong to anybody anywhere. Nobody cares if I didn't come and speak up. I don't belong to the union anymore. They can't fight for me. What Abby said, that's an HR issue. Thank you for getting back to me, Abby. I did talk to Ray on the phone the other day, but he had nothing to offer. So please think about this. There's no appreciation, and I don't care. Like my husband said, you don't need the job. Why'd he go? I love working with kids. I love interacting with the teachers I'm used to. So I could stop, but that's not helping anything. So I feel devalued. I feel that you're not sticking to your goal, helping the student. We're talking special ed. They need help, more help than general ed. So think of the kids, not about my salary. You're hurting those kids when they're not getting the help. You know, I get teacher, I hear once in a while say, oh, I get $350 for babysitting. That is not good. It's nothing to brag about. But I'm talking for the student, I'm talking for me and my other substitute. If you pay them more, you wouldn't have 32
Time,
openings.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Abby.
Thank you.
Next comment card is from Miss Natalie Cabrera regarding food service.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm reading on behalf of food service cafeteria staff. Given the situation, the personnel who works in food service need a change because the food service workers are not happy with their jobs. There is so much pressure placed upon employees due to the lack of staff. When they are absent, there are no substitutes to fill in for that day. Staff also do not want to move up because the pay is just not worth for such a big workload. Additionally, employees are not able to make their mandatory breaks due to extreme pressure because of the lack of staff. Therefore, because of the lack of staff and backups, there are more injuries and stress between coworkers resulting in poor customer service. Also, a lot of employees have filed complaints regarding their work environment, and there have been no changes or solutions until now. There are also certain sites without air conditioning. Staff have been working in extreme temperatures. Board members, I recommend you to visit your school cafeteria staff so you guys can understand what we're talking about. Thank you for your time and for working with us to create a positive outcome for these situations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next calling card is from Ms. Bernadette Armenta regarding food service and maintenance and operations.
Hi, Dr. Miller and board members. My name is Bernadette Armenta, and I would like to bring to your attention another issue that has been problematic to the district if we do not fix this now. In April of 2022, it was brought to the planning department that many of our kitchens do not have air conditioning units. Planning was asked by Armando Roscoe, the director of facilities, to get a plan together to install AC units into the 15 kitchens. Armando Roscoe pulled the project from the planning department, who handles construction, and gave it to the M&O HVAC team, even after the objections of the planning department, since this is considered new construction and not maintenance. There are a number of things that maintenance does not understand regarding new construction. New construction needs to be certified that it was done according to the building codes. Maintenance only removes and repairs. Since they are not removing and replacing, they have no idea what the code should be. These units are placed on the roof of the kitchen, which adds weight to the roof. A structural engineer is needed to either add additional framing to support the new roof load or to certify that no additional framing is needed. The electrical portion of this is done by electrical engineer. This person identifies where the power will come from and how it will get routed from the electrical panel to the new AC unit. It also certifies that the system is safe and balanced. All of this is overseen by the architect of record who designs and conducts the project. In most cases, all construction would need to be reviewed and approved by the Department of State of Architect, DSA. In certain circumstances, DSA reviews and fees can be avoided if the project falls under a certain amount. Should that be the case, this is where the architect can certify that everything was built according to the building codes and per plan. If maintenance does the work where there are no records of construction or certification that any of the work meets the building codes. One problem this creates is that with no certification of record, should new work come up at any of these school sites, specific school sites, DSA will not have no record of installation, meaning the district may have to take out the installed units and reinstall according to DSA requirements, costing the district more money. Installing new AC units is new construction, not maintenance. So it is a violation of the public contracting, which can get into the issue of prevailing wages. The state says all public works is considered prevailing wages and must be registered with the Department of Industrial Relations, which the district is not. So there are many reasons why this work needs to be handed back to the construction department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next comment card is from Mr. Jerry Gonzalez regarding board behavior.
Good evening again, Jerry Gonzalez. As I've mentioned before when I've been in front of the board here, I am a Stockton alum, born and raised in Stockton. Went to Wilson Elementary, Stockton Junior High School, Stag High. And my family's been in Stockton for, I think, about 100 years. So we have a long history. And there also is a mindset, I think, that a lot of people in Stockton have that, it's just a bad place to be. People talk about Stockton being the new Oakland, those types of comments. And it's well known. And unfortunately, I think that the actions of the board over the last couple of years kind of help perpetuate some of this, that you're not following your own bylaws, your protocols that are well known and established in hiring. You're not being open with the public on a lot of your decisions. People that were hired were not qualified properly. And a lot of people that are here now, I think, are trying to remediate the mistakes that this board made in the hiring that they've done in the last couple of years. But it's not only been a couple of years. You've had so many superintendents with the revolving door. And, you know, I just wish that we can get people in place, hold them, not have a superintendent for 14 months or whatever the term is. Get somebody in here that really can hold it together. Boards come and go. I'd love to see a superintendent stay. There have been a couple other things, and I know I've only got a minute left. Past meetings, I've brought up that we, as far as I know, don't have a bond oversight committee. I think that is still something that needs to be dealt with, or at least it's not publicly known who this committee is or if there are any meetings being held. So, you know, I don't want to just continue sitting here beating up on people because it doesn't serve this community any good. It really doesn't. But the board's behavior and the actions are the reason why people are so upset. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Next card is from David Singtai regarding closing comment.
This is gonna be my last comment for a while. I leave in 1 week for Stanford. So I wanted to reintroduce myself to you all and the public here because I felt like that the past few months, my identity has been lost. Who I am as a person has been misconstrued. So let me get the record straight. My name is David Sengtai. I am the son of Cambodian refugees. My parents immigrated here in the early 90s and for a better life and for a better education for myself. And I will be attending Stanford University this fall for the next 4 years, majoring in political science and urban studies under a full ride scholarship that I worked for and earned with the help of so many people behind me. My father, who I'm not close with anymore, shared a story with me in one of these rare moments that we had a conversation with each other when I was younger. He shared how his father, my grandfather, was executed during the Cambodian genocide for speaking out against the authoritarian government. And ever since then, a fire or a flame sparked inside of me that was like, I need to stand up or do something. As a child, I was always talkative. I could never keep my mouth shut during class, and teachers would be like, he's a smart kid to my mother, but he just talks too much. And during high school, I would learn how to manifest my talkative nature and ability to speak. This is all unscripted, by the way. I didn't plan any of this. To a public, to an audience with such ease that leadership sort of became my forte. And from leading events on campus to being my class's senior class president, I sort of found where I excelled in, and that was representing people and speaking up when necessary. And so 1 year ago in July, well, I've been following the school board for a while. In 7th and 8th grade, I was at this very podium down on Madison Street, and I spoke in favor in 7th grade. I believe it was 2017 or 2016, where I spoke in favor of the STA contract to prevent them from going on strike. So being at this podium is not something that's unfamiliar to me. I will always be here, whether or not it's me speaking, but I understand that my presence here means a lot to people, that I'm able to speak for students that are afraid to stand up, that I'm afraid to speak for adult and staff members who not necessarily have the financial or job security to go up here and say these honest things. And I will always make it a point to be up here and speak their truths. And I want it to be known that, well, this may be my last comment for a while. My eyes and thoughts and prayers are always with the district and especially the students within it. I know people, and I know that it takes a lot of work to fix SUSD, but I will always have my mind set on doing it. Thank you for your time. It's been an honor at this podium, and I hope that in the future, change happens, and whether or not you're going to be with it or not, I hope that it happens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next card is from Mr. Tony Morales regarding jury reports.
I've been reading and rereading both grand jury reports. SUSD is being investigated by the FBI, the District Attorney Office, State Financial Crisis and Management Assistant Team, and being consistently criticized by the Stockton citizens. If the results of the extraordinary audit report is negative, it may be the final straw. By the end of the 22-23 school year, the district will be placed in state receivership. This may include termination of the superintendent and suspension of the Board of Trustees as a decision-making body. It would be years before the district could recover from receivership. If trustees and administrators continue to function under a power and control culture, it will ultimately fail to actualize the district's mission and goals. Trustees appear to be puzzled about what is causing the dissension, dismay, and disarray within the SUSD. Until they look at patterns of failure and address them, there will be little improvement. Until the trustees take responsibility for the grand jury's findings and implement plans for correction, expectation for change will be minimal. Until the board can skillfully listen and learn from their mistakes and work together, this debilitating climate will persist. Until the trustees can practice openness and honesty, collaborate, and work as a team, nothing will change. Incompetence will prevail. The board has come to the fork in the road. Go left and get more of the same, or go right and reset your perspectives, attitudes, and leadership skills. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next card is from Harpreet Chima regarding meeting protocols.
Okay, hello. Just like to congratulate the board on now having a stronger security detail than most members of Congress. But I want to point out how these kinds of over-the-top theatrical actions, needing cops to take you to your cars at your personal parking spots, claims of mean messages, etc., honestly grow the fuck up. I said this months ago. No one is forcing you to be here. I am not out of order. I can actually say that. You can read it. Profanity is perfectly legal. It is. I can't cuss at a public meeting. All right. Why can't I finish?
Because you cussed.
Once? I don't get a warning.
No, that warning was given at the beginning of the meeting, so you have to ask you to leave. Thank you.
Continue. Who else is coming,
Next
please?
comment card is from Sydney Lewis and Taimara Mecca regarding improve your tomorrow. Miss Lewis and Miss Mecca, are you still present? Trustees, it appears that they are no longer present. However, they did leave handouts that I will give you at the conclusion of the board meeting. Thank you. Next, two comment cards are regarding John Ramirez letter read. Her speaker is from Daniel Franco.
Good evening, Dr. Miller and esteemed Board of Trustees. My name is Daniel Franco. I'm the after-school program facilitator at Hazleton Elementary. The The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is good for them or what is not good for them to know. This is the preamble for the Brown Act, the same act that was violated in a session held on June 9th, 2022. In this session, an executive's pay, whether the district wants to call it a salary or now retroactively label it as severance, was voted on in a closed session, which should have been public. This is the exact lack of transparency that the community continues to decry. And I, from empathy with you guys, is I know that we do need to improve as a community, but I just hear a lot of the time that there seems to be some confusion from the board about where the outrage is stemming from, where the frustration is stemming from. And I think a lot of it is just down to transparency and just being open and the somewhat lack that's been happening with the board. I could use these 3 minutes to go into even greater detail on the violation, like by asking how Mr. Ramirez can be placed on leave after a DUI if he is not an employee, or by asking why the resignation agreement explicitly refers to Mr. Ramirez's superintendent emeritus status as employment. But I know that would be fruitless, especially since you guys already voted on it. But instead, what I want to say is, I just wish that things weren't so adversarial, because I can't stand up here and pretend and say that I know what it's like to be on the other side and sitting where you guys sit. I don't know what that's like at all. Instead, I just want to remind the public, and that goes for whether you're sitting on either side of the table right now, it's just, we all need to do better. And if you feel slighted or you feel tired or disappointed like I do, and I know that I don't need to remind you guys that elections are coming up in November, I just think it's so important more than ever to vote, and just to vote accordingly. Vote with how you feel, vote with how you, where your merits and your morals lie. I just wish that things didn't have to be so adversarial. Like, I don't have any personal problems with anyone sitting up there. I just wish that we could be more open and honest with each other and act more like adults. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Part is from Ms. Brenda Vasquez.
Good evening, board. I'm going to read from an op-ed that I read today on a page. This person decided to run for the Board of Education in September of 2020 after seeing the way that political agendas, big money corporations, and outside interests circled Stockton Unified School District like vultures, and it stinks. It never occurred to me that the corruption, collusion, and decay within our community might be much worse than I'd imagined. There is nepotistic and incestuous group that exists within our education system that is a canker sore as we attempt to speak positively and consistently into our community. We as a school system have produced mediocre results for over 4 decades without input from grand juries, billionaires, and outside interests at the levels that we see now. Our former mayor used the school district as a footstool for his illustrious propaganda film. Our students' backs were their stage. Who knew that the film was never brought to this board or the board prior to be approved? Who knew that the film crew from HBO and Blowback collaborated with potential child predators and felons in order to prop up local candidates and their regime, like former Mayor Micah Tubbs and his reinvent Stockton machine that works to suck the lifeblood out of SUSD. Alongside with trustees Vargas, Luntow, Flores, and staff members, convicted felons were allowed HBO and full access to students from kindergarten to seniors in high school. There is no record of services rendered by fathers and families, which was run by the former president, Sammy Nunes. The company received $150,000 in July of 2019 as a one-time payment. They were paid in full less than 1 month after Angel Ann Flores and others voted to approve the contract without conversation on a consent agenda. Sounds like SUSD paid for a movie to be made and provided the child political actors. There are over 50 fraudulent contracts that agents of Reinvent Stockton and Home Box Office directed school officials illegally to present the students. Had teachers and staff and families known this, was not board approved and included time with potential child predators and felons, I do not see them signing up. As a community, we paid $150,000 for convicted felons and potential child predators to come film our children and be paid, while our students and families signed their lives away on the dotted line. I am calling now on Stockton Unified School District, its unions and employees to stop arguing about monies because there are weaves in
Time,
wolves,
Ms. Vasquez.
okay, in a hen house.
Thank you.
Trustees, this concludes comments for item 16.1. Thank you.
Thank you and good night, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.